Hello and welcome. I'm Leigh Ann Gerrans and you're watching W News, broadcasting live from the Al Arabiya headquarters. These are our top stories. The Israeli Security Cabinet has approved the Gaza ceasefire deal. Netanyahu's office says the approval supports the achievements of the war's goals. In a world exclusive, Hamas tells Al Arabiya News the deal would have never been done without Trump and says Biden was complicit in the delay. TikTok could be banned in the US from this weekend as the Supreme Court rejects an appeal from the app's owner over national security concerns. And former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan is jailed for 14 years on corruption charges. To our top story, and the Israeli Security Cabinet has approved the ceasefire deal. A full government meeting will take place later today. Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the approval comes after examining all political, security and humanitarian aspects, and with the understanding that the agreement supports the achievement of the war's goals. Let's go live to Tel Aviv and get the latest from our reporter now, Blake Sifton. Blake, thank you for joining me this evening. The Security Cabinet has finally given the go-ahead. Talk us through their discussions and what happens now.
That's right. Earlier today on Friday, the Israeli Security Cabinet met to discuss the ceasefire deal for Gaza and approved it. The wider political cabinet is now deliberating, and they are also expected to approve the deal. What would follow would be a period of 24 hours when citizens of Israel have the right to petition the High Court if they have reason to oppose the deal going forward. However, it is not expected that the High Court would intervene, and the deal would likely come into effect noon local time on Sunday.
Blake, when are we likely to see the release of the first wave of hostages?
So in the first phase of the deal, which is expected to last 42 days, we would see the release of 33 hostages. The first would be expected 3 women, a group of 3 women who would be released at 4 p.m. on Sunday. That would be followed by 4 women released on the 7th day of the deal. An additional 3 people would be released each week for 4 weeks, and the remaining 14 hostages would be released on the final and 6th week. We do know the identity of these 33 hostages who are potentially being released in this deal. They include female soldiers, female civilians, men over 50, as well as the sick and injured. However, we do not know the order in which they would be released or how many among them are deceased. As though the Israeli government says the majority are alive, it is believed that some are deceased.
Not everyone is pleased about the news. Israel's Security Minister Ben-Gvir has quit, or is planning to quit. He's threatened to quit over what he's called the disastrous ceasefire deal. What's the reaction to that news been?
That's right. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has been very forcefully against this deal, aggressively against this deal. And he has said that his party will resign from Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition if this deal is passed, which of course it seems like it will be. He took to Twitter to say, we will not overthrow this government and we will support it from the outside, but we will not be partners in a defeatist agreement. I love Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and will make sure he continues to be Prime Minister, but I will leave because the deal that was signed is disastrous. So pretty strong words there from Ben-Gvir. It is worth noting, of course, that even without his party, Benjamin Netanyahu does still have enough seats in the Knesset to maintain his coalition, and this would not affect the deal going forward. But generally, with all these developments, it is a stressful time in this country, and crucial days are ahead as this region waits for a ceasefire to come into effect more than 15 months after the war began.
Yes, indeed, a stressful time. Blake Sifton in Tel Aviv, thank you so much for joining me. A reminder of our top story, and the Israeli Security Cabinet have approved the Gaza ceasefire deal. Al Arabiya News has spoken exclusively to a senior Hamas official who says the agreement would never have happened without Trump, and Joe Biden was complicit in delays. Here is exactly what he had to say.
I couldn't imagine that this could be possible without the pressure from the coming administration led by President Trump, because his envoy in the region, Mr. Whitecoff, was here for the last few days, taking notice of all the details and where are the obstacles, and exercising pressure, especially on the Israeli government. Therefore, yes, they have a great input to reach this moment. And I'm sure most of the delay for the last months was because of the reluctant, maybe complicit Biden administration.
The first of 3 stages of the ceasefire deal includes the release of 33 hostages, including women, children and the elderly, in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. We can now speak to the aunt of one of the former hostages, who is now an advocate for hostage families. Ella Moore joins me this evening. Ella, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me. Your 3-year-old niece, Abigail, was taken hostage by Hamas on the 7th of October. Thankfully, she's now safe and sound after being released at the end of November. But tell us what that ordeal was like for you and for your family, and how are you feeling right now today on this news of a possible ceasefire?
I can tell you that when a 3-year-old who is an orphan because she and her siblings saw her parents getting murdered in front of her eyes, and then she was kidnapped to Gaza for 51 long days. I think that's the real meaning of hell on earth to go through as a human being. It was a very hard time for us, for the family, and for all of Israel, and we are still going through a very hard time with all of the hostages still being there in Gaza. We're very happy that there's a deal now, but we are happy and we are very worried. We don't know how they're going to come back, if they're going to be, in what condition they're going to come back, because we know they are severely tortured, brutally tortured by Hamas in the tunnels with no air, no light, no food, starved, raped, beaten. So we are very worried about the conditions that are going to come back, and we are worried about the 65 hostages that will still remain in Gaza.
Yes, indeed. I actually just wanted to say Abigail turned 4 in captivity. How is she now growing up without her parents, and is she getting back to what childhood should be like?
Well, I can say, yes, she had a birthday when she was a hostage in Gaza. I think it's horrible to have a birthday without your family. And today she's 5, and she's an amazing little girl, and she's so smart and so sweet, and we love her so much. We try to keep her privacy because she didn't choose to be so famous. She would just get her life back, and she would not choose that. She would just want her parents back and her family and her house, because she went through a domicide. When you lose your house, you lose your community, you lose your parents. She lost everything. All of the hostages did, and a lot of people in Israel, they lost everything they had. Even hostages, they lose their identity. So it's very hard to think about it, but we think about recovery now, and we want to recover the hostages that will come back, and we want to recover the people of Israel who just want to live in peace. And we just want to recover all our very hard wounds that we have right now in the heart of Israel.
When the hostages are released, everyone will need care and rehabilitation. You just touched on that there. And I know that you are involved in homeopath work, and that's something that you do. Looking forward and looking to the future, how are hostages going to be saved from this trauma? As you say, it's very difficult. It's long term. We don't know how they were treated.
Yeah, I think it's a trauma that will go on for years in Israel, for all of them and for all of us. I think it's very hard to recover a hostage. I don't know if you can recover a hostage. You can just help them to create a new life and just hope that they could handle it and they're not too injured mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm afraid the hostages will come back and they will not be able to function because we don't know if they can see, if they're blind, if they're not deaf. I know a few hostages that came back cannot hear, severely injured. It's very hard to think about their recovery, but that's what we have to do now in Israel. We have to give them a lot of love and a lot of love to the families, and to give them the time to settle down and to know that now they're in a safe place and with safe hands. And all of the country is going to be so happy. We're waiting for them so much, like they are our brothers and our sisters. And we're just waiting that we can just see that they're okay and to start healing them. We'll start. I don't know if you can, but we'll try.
Yes, definitely. It is a process. The war in Gaza has been going on now for 15 months. How are you feeling about the future, and how has this impacted Israeli society?
I think the war should end. We have to end the war. We have to bring the hostages back. We have to bring everybody back and to start the healing here. I think everybody is affected by this war. We didn't want this war. Nobody wanted this war. And I'm sure also the citizens of Gaza did not want this war, because everybody has been kidnapped by Hamas. And I'm sure all the people that are suffering there are suffering because what Hamas did. And my heart is also with the innocent people over there, that they didn't want this war and they just want to live and to grow their children and to feed their children exactly like we want to. So I pray everything will be over soon and every person can just live his life like we just want to, live in life in peace. We don't want anything else.
Ella, I was just going to say, I want to send you lots of love, and it's really, really appreciated that you joined us on the show to tell us your story. Best of luck. That's Ella Moore, an aunt of one of the released hostages. Once again, absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Let's cross our fingers it's going to happen and everybody will be home quickly as possible. All of them, all of the 98 hostages, not only 33 that was on the first deal. All of them. We want all of them back.
Thank you, Ella. TikTok could be banned in the United States as early as this Sunday after the Supreme Court rejected an appeal from the social media platform owners in regards to concerns surrounding national security. The decision follows warnings from Biden's administration that the app posed a threat because of its ties to China. However, it is still unclear how the government will actually enforce this ban. Let's go live to Washington now and speak to our correspondent, Benji Hyer. Benji, thank you so much for joining me. Firstly, tell us how the Supreme Court actually reached this decision.
Well, the ruling coming out a few hours ago, and it wasn't unanimous. There was some disagreement amongst the 9 justices, but overall the conclusion was as follows, that TikTok, the Supreme Court says, gives a foreign adversary, in other words, China, the ability to leverage its control over the platform to collect vast amounts of personal data from 170 million US users. That's been the allegation from the US government. That's the reason that Congress passed this law. The Supreme Court says that divestiture, therefore, is necessary to address Congress's well-supported national security concerns, adding that this ruling would not violate First Amendment rights, the right to free speech protected by the Constitution. That had been at the core of TikTok's case. The White House also putting out a statement just now saying that TikTok should remain available to Americans, but under American ownership. Essentially that ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese owner, should sell the app by the deadline of Sunday or else face a ban. ByteDance, however, is reluctant to do so. The way that this would work is that TikTok wouldn't just suddenly be taken off people's devices unless TikTok decided to pull the plug itself. And that's for 2 reasons. One is that actually President Biden says that he won't be enforcing the ban on Sunday anyway. And second of all, even if this ban is upheld in the longer term, what would happen is that over time it would be unavailable on app stores, or updates wouldn't come onto people's phones, and therefore the app would essentially become redundant. And so where does this leave us? Well, the bottom line is it's now up to President-elect Donald Trump to decide how to proceed.
Benji, what will this mean for the millions of influencers who use TikTok as their main source of income? We know it brings in so much revenue. Will they have to move on to another platform? What's the future there?
Well, it depends on what Donald Trump decides to do, and we'll talk about him in just one moment. In terms of in the short term, there has been this mild panic about if TikTok does get banned, what do creators, what do users do? There are obviously American alternatives, Instagram, YouTube, for example, for short-form videos. We have seen in the hundreds of thousands people move over towards another Chinese app known in English as Red Note, similar sort of thing to TikTok, but this normally catering just to a Chinese audience in China and much more restrictive in terms of what can be posted and what can be discussed. There will be hope amongst TikTok community that their savior lies in President-elect Donald Trump, who has done a remarkable about-turn on this issue. Previously, in his first term, he was leading the charge to ban TikTok. Now, a staunch supporter of the app, given how favourable it has been towards him during his election campaign. He has links through his mega billionaire donors, I should say, during his campaign. He has met with TikTok's owner, who will be present front and centre during his swearing-in ceremony at the inauguration on Monday. And he's also said that it is now his decision about what to do next with TikTok, whether to try to suspend enforcement of the law, whether to try to get Congress to overturn it. He's also spoken in past hours to President Xi Jinping of China, where the pair did discuss TikToks and other subjects. The reason for Donald Trump's change of heart on TikTok is frankly because he likes the popularity that it gives him. He can reach out to his 14, 15 million followers on that, and therefore he will push for a resolution. But with ByteDance very unwilling to sell the app and the valuable algorithm that comes it, and with Sino-skeptic lawmakers on Capitol Hill not willing to overturn the law, it's going to have to mean some sort of unprecedented executive action from the next White House resident in order to resolve this and mean those 170 million American users can continue to use the app in the coming weeks and months.
Benji, I just want to get your take on one thing. We're just hearing the inauguration ceremony, which is, of course, going to be held on Monday, is actually going to move inside, and that's because of the weather. Is it absolutely freezing? What more do we know?
Well, you might be able to see from the backdrop behind me that the snow is still on the ground in Washington, D.C. It snowed days ago, but because of the freezing temperatures over the past week, much of it has not actually melted away. On Inauguration Day itself, on Monday. It is expected to get as low as minus 12 degrees Celsius. And so, yes, it's moving inside. We have a statement from the President-elect Donald Trump, who says that because of these crazy low temperatures, for the safety of those that were attending and law enforcement, that ceremony will be moved inside the Capitol Rotunda. The last time that happened was for Ronald Reagan back in 1985. Not really clear what happens to, the outside mall area where we were expecting thousands to descend on Washington, D.C. and attend and watch the ceremony, whether they will still gather there or somewhere else. What will still be happening, though, is a party in the evening funded by TikTok, honouring influencers who helped Donald Trump spread his campaign message in a kind of weird full circle situation. So those events will still go ahead. The inauguration will still happen, but for the first time in decades, it's going to happen inside rather than outside.
Benji, I feel like Monday is going to be a historic day for lots of other reasons rather than the inauguration being inside. Benji Hyer in Washington, keep warm and thank you very much. And let's take a look at some of the other stories making the headlines today. Putin and his Iranian counterpart have been holding talks in Moscow ahead of a treaty signing. Vladimir Putin and Masoud Pezeshkian's strategic partnership will involve closer defense cooperation, which is set to worry the West. Pezeshkian also said they were hoping to finalize an agreement on building a nuclear power plant in Iran with Russia's help. Los Angeles evacuees have been told to stay away from home at least another week. That's as emergency responders remove toxic waste from the incinerated neighborhoods and cut off electricity and gas lines, posing a hazard. Search teams are still processing human remains. The death toll stands at 27. Now, a SpaceX Starship rocket has failed during launch, breaking up in space minutes after taking off in Texas. The prototype forced airline flights over the Gulf of Mexico to change course due to falling debris. It's a significant setback to Elon Musk's flagship rocket program. Donald Trump has revealed he's appointing 3 special envoys to Hollywood. Actors Mel Gibson, Jon Voight and Sylvester Stallone are all supporters of the president-elect. Trump says Hollywood is a great but very troubled place, but the 3 ambassadors can help the area be bigger, better and stronger. A 14-year prison sentence has been handed down to Imran Khan, the jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister in a corruption case. Since 2023, Khan has been imprisoned on multiple corruption charges and blames the country's powerful military for his ouster and for colluding with his political rivals. That's a charge the army does deny. Hyer Mustafa is in Islamabad, and we go live to there.
An accountability court sentenced former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife after convicting them of corruption. The couple faced accusations of accepting land as a gift from a business tycoon in return for laundered money during Khan's time in office. The court has directed Imran Khan to pay $3,500 as a penalty, while his wife must pay $1,800. Failure to comply could result in an additional 6-month jail sentence. This is the 4th major conviction the former Prime Minister has faced. 3 prior convictions announced in January last year concerning the sale of state's gifts, leaking state secrets and an illegal marriage were overturned or suspended. Despite this, Khan continues to be imprisoned, with many cases still pending against him. The leadership of Imran Khan's party criticizes the court's decision as politically motivated and vows to challenge the decision in the country's top court. The government welcomes the decision, stressing that the country's judiciary has upheld democratic principles. The decision comes amid the ongoing dialogue between the government and Imran Khan's party leadership to end the political deadlock. The country's information minister has affirmed that the ruling in this corruption case will not interfere with the ongoing discussions between the government and PTI. Observers argue that the announcement of the verdict may hinder dialogue efforts and could lead to increased political instability. Hira Mustafa, Al Arabiya News, Islamabad.
Hira Mustafa there in Islamabad. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a look at some of the other stories making the headlines today. French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron is in Beirut today as he supports Lebanon form a government. Paris has played a key role in breaking Lebanon's political deadlock ever since it agreed a truce with Israel. Authorities in South Korea are facing a deadline on the detention of suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol. Investigators are expected to ask the court to approve a detention warrant for up to 20 days. South Korea has experienced political turmoil after Yoon tried to impose martial law, a move that was voted down by Parliament. 3 lawyers of the late Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny have been jailed and handed sentences varying from 3.5 to 5 years. It's after a Russian court, which was held behind closed doors, found the trio guilty of belonging to an extremist group. Navalny's widow has called them political prisoners and demanded their release. And finally, China's population has fallen for the 3rd consecutive year. The total number of people in the country dropped by 1.39 million in 2024, reigniting concerns that the world's 2nd largest economy will struggle as the number of workers and consumers decline. Let's take a look at some top business news now. Meanwhile, China has released a slew of economic data this morning showing its economy grew last year by a solid 5%, meeting the government's target. Other annual figures also show that the total retail sales of consumer goods were up by 3.5% last year compared to 2023. Despite those positive indicators, China's economy is still facing challenges from the real estate crisis, leaving people concerned about their job prospects. The Toyota subsidiary Hyer Motors has agreed to pay $1.6 billion to settle an emissions scandal. The Japanese firm also pleaded guilty to deceiving U.S. regulators about the amount of emissions produced by its diesel engines. Hyer Motors has been banned from exporting its diesel engines to the U.S. for 5 years. It comes after the truck company was previously charged with fraud in a Detroit court. Let's go to sports now, when Novak Djokovic has advanced to the pre-quarters of the Australian Open men's singles after beating Tomas Macic in straight sets in the 3rd round today. Djokovic took just 2 hours and 22 minutes to win the match at the Rod Laver Arena. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff also advanced to the 4th round after taking down the 2021 US Open champion Leylah Fernandez. Gauff continued her impressive run this year, and that's having won all 8 of her matches. And Erling Haaland has signed a new 9-year contract at Manchester City in one of the largest deals in football history. The striker will see an uplift to his £400,000 a week wages, and 2 release clauses in his previous deal have not been reinserted. The 24-year-old insisted that he wants to create a legacy at Etihad Stadium. Now to a reminder of our top stories today. The Israeli Security Cabinet has approved the ceasefire deal. Netanyahu's office says the approval supports the achievements of the war's goals. In a world exclusive, Hamas tells Al Arabiya the deal would have never been done with Trump, and says Biden was complicit in the delay. TikTok could be banned in the US from this weekend as the Supreme Court rejects an appeal from the app's owner over national security concerns. And former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan is jailed for 14 years on corruption charges. And that's all from us on W News. Thank you for joining us. Coming up next, we have special interviews with Melinda Newfrico and Hadley Gamble, followed by The Dressing Room. Good night and have a lovely Friday.
Arabiya News, we go beyond the headlines.
From the latest breaking news to in-depth coverage of global events.
We're not bought or sold. Nobody owns us.
The loss of life, the destruction of property. The conflicts are such a terrible thing.
Context and analysis to help you see the full picture.
The world is in a very dangerous place.
Join us on Arabiya News.
It's very impressive.
Where knowledge meets perspective.
I'm Melinda Newfrico, bringing you a special interview on Al Arabiya News with senior Hamas official Bassem Naim. After 14 long and painful months, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has been secured. On Sunday, the world will witness a pause in the fighting and the start of a prisoner exchange. But this deal is not the end of the crisis. It's merely the beginnings of a solution, and there's a long road ahead. So let's bring in our very special guest. I'm joined by senior Hamas official Bassem Naim. Thank you for joining us here on Al Arabiya News. After 14 months, we finally have a deal. But this is very similar to the deal that the Biden administration proposed back in May. So why now and not then, when so many lives could have been spared?
Unfortunately, I have to admit that we have received the Israeli proposal for a ceasefire agreement on May 27th through the mediators. This proposal was announced and stated by President Biden in his famous speech, and then it became part of the UN Security Council resolution. And we have in all this, the stations, we have welcomed this and expressed our readiness to go ahead. But unfortunately, since that time, for more than 7 months of horror and killing and genocide, Netanyahu was not planning, was not intending to go for a ceasefire, and he was still hoping that he might be able to achieve his announced goal at the beginning of the aggression after October 7th, to crush Hamas, to displace the Palestinian people outside the Gaza Strip, and to retrieve his captured Israelis by force. When he failed to achieve all of these goals, and he has nothing to do, according to the IDF sources, nothing more to do in Gaza Strip, increasing pressure inside Israel, and the change in the American administration, to be honest, that President-elect Biden, Trump said, I want to see an end of this conflict or escalation before the inauguration day. Maybe all these together has led to signing the agreement or accepting the agreement 2 days ago, but we are still waiting for the official acceptance of the Israeli government, Israeli cabinet for this deal.
You mentioned the incoming Trump administration. Many observers are giving credit to Donald Trump and his incoming special Middle East envoy, Stephen Wickoff, for putting additional pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu to ensure that this deal was signed. Do you think it could have been successful without Donald Trump taking the White House in just a few days' time?
On one side, no, I couldn't imagine that this could be possible without the pressure from the coming administration led by President Trump, because his envoy in the region, Mr. Wickoff, was here for the last few days. taking notice of all the details and where are the obstacles and exercising pressure, especially on the Israeli government. Therefore, yes, they have a great input to reach this moment. And I'm sure most of the delay for the last months was because of the reluctant, maybe complicit Biden administration and their unlimited, unwavering support for the government in Israel, for the war against Palestinians, and for the continuous investment in this war militarily, diplomatically, and politically. But on the other side, I don't know exactly what he has, I mean, the coming administration led by Trump, what they have promised Netanyahu to go for this deal. Maybe they might down-escalate or de-escalate the situation in the Gaza Strip, but at the same time, they might give him promises to announce the sovereignty of in the West Bank, the Judaization of Jerusalem, annexing of more land of more Palestinian land, maybe to go further in the track of normalization in the Arabic region, because this was one of the precondition to restart or to relaunch the operation, the normalization operation, is to stop this war, to stop this aggression. No one can go for normalization with Israel while they were committing genocide in Gaza. All this together.
I wonder if you think then that a weak Biden administration is partly to blame for the ongoing conflict and bloodshed we have seen over these past months.
100%. Biden administration, Biden himself, and Tony Blinken, they are complicit in the genocide against our people, because on one side they're talking about an attempt or trial to reach a ceasefire. On the other side, we have seen using veto 4 times in the Security Council against the international will when 147 countries voted for a ceasefire here, when we have seen billions, 60 to 70 billion of dollars paid for Israel along this time, when we have seen hundreds of thousands of tons or hundreds of thousands of tons of American ammunitions and weapons reach Israel. Israel would not be able to continue committing this genocide in the Gaza Strip without the unwavering American support. More than 500,000 tons of explosive material and weapons reach Israel from America. More than 80 to 90,000 tons of explosive materials dropped on the Gazans along the last 15 months.
There are 2 sides to every conflict, so let me ask you this. In recent days, in recent months, there have been accusations that your organisation, that Hamas, has been putting up last-minute barriers and complications to a deal. Does Hamas take responsibility for not securing this ceasefire for its Palestinian people sooner?
Yeah, I think I have said it at the beginning. In May 27, we have accepted the Israeli proposal, which was handed over to the Americans and then became part of the UN Security Council. And then we have said, yes, we are ready to go for the details how to implement this deal. What was the response from the Israeli side? Committing more massacres in Mawasi, in Gaza, assassinating our leadership. They have assassinated the top leadership in Hamas who was negotiating with the Israelis. How can you negotiate a ceasefire agreement or a peace agreement where you are killing the man who is sitting around the table negotiating with you? I think it is clear. By the way, yesterday we have heard from Israeli sources and some some Western media sources who are adopting the Israeli narrative that in the last few days Hamas has added new conditions. We have said it publicly and strongly. We have accepted the deal. We are ready to go for implementing the deal, and we have no other conditions. And this is the reality. But what was the problem? That Netanyahu was struggling in his cabinet to get a clearance for this deal, but he failed until now. Therefore, he wants to transfer this internal problems, internal obstacles to the outside, as if Hamas is blocking the deal. But we are ready now for 7 months to go for a deal.
This deal will happen in phases, as we know, and the Israeli Prime Minister has threatened to resume fighting after phase 1. Is Hamas taking that threat seriously, and how concerned are you that the fighting is simply going to resume once the hostages have been exchanged?
First of all, we hope not that he go again for a war against Palestinians, and we hope that the mediators, in particular the Americans in this case, to guarantee that this is a deal for a permanent ceasefire and a total withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. But we are expecting obstacles, violations, sabotage from the Israeli side to spoil the deal, because we are aware that a lot of Israeli cabinet members and governmental ministers and Knesset members against the deal, and now they are already threatening to spoil or to sabotage the deal. And we are also experiencing in the former ceasefire deal, temporary ceasefire deal in November 2023, that the Israelis were not committed to their words, and they haven't been committed to all the terms of the agreement at that time. At the same, we are expecting this, but we will try the maximum, all what we can, to avoid the collapse of this deal, because our main goal is how to protect our people, how to prevent a war again, how to stop this aggression. But I have to say one important thing. It is not only about the violations and which was expected during the next 3 or 4 months, the 3 phases deal, but again, the October 7th operation was a response to a root cause of all this escalation in the region, which is the occupation. Gaza, after the ceasefire, is still besieged. Gaza, after the ceasefire deal, is still occupied. The West Bank is still occupied. Jerusalem is still occupied. Annexation plans and so on. Therefore, the root of all these causes is the occupation. And the international community have said it clearly in the ICC, in the ICG, and in the UN General Assembly that Israel presence in the occupied territory, Palestinian occupied territory, is an occupation, and they have the right to get rid of this occupation. Therefore, as long as the occupation is there, no one can expect a sustainable, long-standing stability, security, or prosperity, or even peace.
Since you raise October 7, let me ask you, since the start of this conflict, much of Gaza has been destroyed. It's reduced to rubble. More than 46 Palestinians have been killed, and many of Hezbollah's allies, including Hezbollah, have been very severely weakened. Does Hamas still consider this operation a victory? Was it worth it to end the occupation when you consider everything that has come after?
Look, first of all, I'm sure Hamas is a big movement, institutionalized movement, is going to sit down and to reevaluate all what happened since October 7th and to investigate seriously about the positive and negative outcomes of this round of escalation. But I have to say again, October 7th was a response, was an act of defense. It was a reaction to an already existing action, which is the occupation.
It sounds like in your response there you don't really believe that October 7 was a good idea.
Sorry. Between 2000 and 2023, Gaza alone have passed through 4 or 5 stations of aggressions and wars by the Israelis. In all cases, there was no October 7th. Thousands killed, thousands of houses destroyed, infrastructure destroyed. In the West Bank, where there is no Hamas and there is no October 7th and there is no rockets, 20,000 Palestinians in the last 20 years killed on checkpoints by the army or by the settlers. The annexation of the West Bank, the land of in the West Bank, has nothing to do with October 7th. It is the occupation. It is the Israeli, the Zionist ideology of this fascist extremist regime, how they are seeing the conflict. How can I respond to an official statement by Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, who in public, in front of the UN, talking about between the river and the sea, there is no chance for any other state except Israel. There is no right for a Palestinian state. Palestinians have no right of statehood, no right of self-determination, no right of land, no right of water. And Palestinians have only a place in Jordan or somewhere else. They are even talking about bigger plans to take part of Jordan, part of Lebanon, part of Egypt. Therefore, it is not, again, about Palestinians. Palestinians are the victims of an ongoing occupation for 75 years. And all what we are doing is a response and a reaction to the original cause. We are trying to get rid of this prison, and we cannot continue keeping or keep being silent or being good victims or trying to improve the conditions inside the prison. We want to get rid out of this prison.
Do you think, though, that Hamas has improved the situation of the Palestinian people in Gaza in the last 14 months?
This question is a relative question. What does it mean, improving the life conditions?
Well, do you think you have achieved the outcomes? Do you think you have achieved the outcomes?
We have to choose between two forms of death: either to die in silence by lacking of medicine, by lacking of food, by shooting from the borders everywhere, by denying us the right of education, the right of freedom of traveling, or so on, or to die by an Israeli or an American bomb during a military escalation. These are the two choices we have got as an offer. We have chosen to die standing, fighting for our dignity and freedom. Therefore, it is not about paradise and hell. It is about the levels you are choosing in hell. Therefore, again, the origin of all these causes is how to get rid of the occupation. We have the right to live in dignity, in freedom, in peace, to secure our children a better future. Look, if this question is valid, you have raised now, it means that it is valid when you say that the Europeans were foolish or idiots, when they have lost 30-40 million Europeans, innocent civilians. A lot of cities like London, Dresden, Paris, and others were destroyed to fight the fascist regimes or the Nazi army. But again, it is the fight for freedom and dignity, and it is not a loss when you fight for noble goals.
Okay, let's look forward. If this ceasefire does hold, what do you envisage Hamas's role to be in a post-war Gaza? And if the international community insists that Hamas plays no political role in order to conduct reconstruction, will Hamas leave? Or relinquish power, I should say?
Look, two things. First of all, Hamas is not an armed group. Hamas is not a military movement. Hamas is a big political movement with a military wing, and we are in an inherent part of the Palestinian social fabric. We have military occupation activities, but we have also educational activities, social activities, and all other activities. And we are representing the vast majority of Palestinian people, and this has been proven through elections and through different tools, polls, and so on. Therefore, that's anyone who is dreaming of or that Hamas will disappear suddenly, this is illusions. And I think if you have heard Antony Blinken last press conference, he said Hamas an idea, and this cannot be solved by a military operation. But if you talk about ruling Gaza from not only after October 7th, but we have said it years before that we are not willing to rule Gaza. and we are ready to hand it over to any party accepted first from the Palestinians and acceptable from the international community. Therefore, we have invested hundreds and thousands of hours in reconciliation process, Palestinian reconciliations, to form a unity government representing all Palestinians, to reform the PLO to be representative of all Palestinians. And lastly, we have, in the last few months, we have discussed internally with the Palestinians how can we form a technocratic governments of Palestinians who are not affiliated to any party, not only Hamas, and take over the government in the Gaza Strip, in the West Bank, to rebuild Gaza, to prepare for election, and so on and so on. If not, we have also accepted the Egyptian proposal to go for an independent body to rule Gaza, formed of technocratic people who are Palestinians, Gazans, not affiliated to any factions, acceptable from the international community and from the region. And we are ready from months already. From months we are already ready to hand over all the authorities. But unfortunately,
the international community, though, often finds it difficult to separate the Hamas political wing from the Hamas military wing, especially after what they have seen in the last 14 months. So Gaza, the Palestinians, certainly need international support to rebuild the devastated region. If they require Hamas to have no part in the rebuilding of Gaza, will Hamas accept that?
I have said it clearly. We are ready already months to hand it over to anyone who is acceptable at the Palestinian level and at the international level. We are a resistance movement. We are not a ruling party. When we have our state, we will convert our movement into a political party. But here I have to say, because these terms you are using, I'm sorry to say, are misleading and cheating. Because if you say international community, what does it mean international community? Look, the UN is not considering Hamas as a terror group. Therefore, the international community is not America. The international community is not the West. But if you mean the West, America and some European country, the former and the current colonial powers, this is another question. Because Russia is not considering, Russia is dealing with Hamas, China is dealing with Hamas, Latin America, Africa, all the Arabic and Islamic countries. It is not about the international community. It is about the American Zionist ideology, supporting, unwavering support of Israel and some European country, like Germany, who have committed genocide twice and still continue to support the genocide in Palestine. We have said, who is today undermining the existence of the international community, Hamas or Israel, who is undermining the existence of UNRWA, and who is working with all tools, with all dirty tools, to dismantle UNRWA and to kick it out, which is representing the will of the international community, which is working based on an international mandate. 147 countries voted for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Where is this will? It has been undermined by the American veto. Therefore, please don't use these vague terms, international community. It is only America and some European countries.
Okay, noted. Let's talk about what is needed in Gaza. We are hearing numbers, 46,000 people dead, so much of the region destroyed. But there are also reports, I note a report published in the Lancet Medical Journal suggesting that that death toll could be far, far greater. From your understanding, give us a sense, if you can, of the situation on the ground, the death toll that you believe, and what needs to be done first as soon as this conflict is on pause.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. I, as a former Minister of Health and Minister of Youth and Sport and Minister of Social Affairs for some time, I can respond in some figures, which is not 100% accurate now because it has to be updated, but we are talking about at least 50,000 Palestinians killed. 70% of them are women and children, and the rest, most of them are elderly. But we have still 10 to 15,000 of Palestinians under the rubble. More than 120,000 Palestinians wounded. At least 20,000 of them are severely wounded and in urgent need for treatment abroad, or at least for medical delegations and medical equipment inside Gaza urgently. We are talking about all schools destroyed, all hospitals destroyed or dismantled. We are talking about mosques, churches, infrastructure, electricity, solar energy, generators, water wells. Everything is destroyed. Our more than 750,000 students have lost at least 2 study years. Therefore, we are in need to rebuild Gaza from scratch. And this will need, first, this will take time. This will need open borders, open gates, which mean lifting the siege on Gaza. And this is the genuine role of the international community to do, how to guarantee opening borders, lifting the siege, not to leave the Israelis to control what's going on, what's going out. And lastly, we are waiting for recruiting at least $100 billion of money from countries, from international organizations, from NGOs, from activists, how to recruit this money to rebuild Gaza again in all the fields. And here I have to mention that when this agreement or when this deal was signed, there is another agreement and next signed at the same time, which we call it the humanitarian document or the humanitarian deal or something like that. This is worked out by the Qataris, the Egyptians, the Americans, and the UN. How to bring all the international will and the international capabilities to help the Palestinians to rebuild their life again. But again, this depends on how much Israel will be committed to implementing the deal, how much the borders will be open to allow the needed materials and stuff to come into Gaza, how much Israel will allow delegations, medical delegations, journalists and others to come into Gaza. I am sure we are talking about billions of dollars, we are talking about years of hard work, and we are talking about a lot of goodwill from all parties to be able to achieve this goal.
The world will be eagerly watching on Sunday as the hostage and prisoner exchange gets underway. Are you aware if the hostages have been informed that a ceasefire has been agreed to and the exchange will take place?
I cannot confirm this, but based on our experience from times before, that usually 1 day maximum the prisoners are informed about, but they are not informing them officially, but they are starting to take them from place to place and to transfer them from one prison to another prison, to transfer them with buses to new areas. And usually this is a practical sign that they are on the list to be released as soon as possible.
Senior Hamas official Bassem Naim, we appreciate your time here on Al Arabiya News. Thank you for joining us.
Please, you're welcome.
From the White House to Gaza, Kyiv to Beijing, elections, economics and the environment compete with conflicts and other complex issues for our attention. In an age of fake news, deepfake and artificial intelligence,
they've got to have a vote and a say.
It's important to look beyond the loudest voice to understand the truth. From newsmakers to groundbreakers,
my campaign is going very well.
Presidents, prime ministers, princes and peacemakers, and cultural tastemakers.
As Arabs, as Middle Eastern, we're too emotional.
Join me on the Riz Khan Show for empowering conversation.
My name is Hadley Gamble. I am the chief international anchor for Al Arabiya and a contributing writer to Semaphore Global. I am very pleased to introduce my guest, Kirill Dmitriev. He's the CEO of the Russia Direct Investment Fund. And the title of this panel is Unlocking Investment Solutions and New Opportunities in the Mineral Industry. Now, Kirill, how do you do that when your country is essentially no longer in contact with the Western world?
Well, first of all, Hadley, it's great to be here, and I wanted first to take this opportunity to thank Saudi Arabia, His Majesty the King, Crown Prince, for hosting this brilliant forum, because I think it's really putting together key players in the mineral industry with a focus on the future, with a focus on partnership, with a focus on solutions, and that is the spirit that is very important. And secondly, I think Russia, first of all, continues to supply minerals to the West. So just to put things in perspective, Russia is 13% of all of the mineral supply to the world. So we are a major player. We continue to supply minerals to all of the Western nations, including palladium, copper, aluminium, etc. But of course, there is increased cooperation with what we call Global South, including BRICS nations. So more investment jointly into infrastructure to supply Asia. We, for example, invested in the first railroad bridge between Russia and China, and the traffic on this bridge increased 10 times this year. So there is major supply of minerals, obviously, to China and to other Asian nations. And we are also very focused on the future. And we see tremendous opportunity in Arctic, and Russia will be developing lots of mineral resources in the Arctic region. And we also are big believers in the Northern Sea Route. And Northern Sea Route cuts basically transportation time by 40% between Europe to Asia. So exploration of minerals along the North Sea Route is a huge opportunity. So there is no question that Russia will continue to be a major player in minerals. Russia will continue to focus on partnerships to invest in necessary infrastructure for mineral extraction.
You mentioned the Arctic. We've just, in the last few days, heard from U.S. President Donald Trump, who's going to have an inauguration in just a few days from now, saying that Greenland could be an opportunity for the United States. Does that worry you about a potential conflict of interest in the Arctic?
Well, I think Arctic is, first of all, huge, and there is opportunity to develop Arctic together. And actually, when we were part of Davos Forum, we spent lots of time thinking about exploration in Arctic together. So I think it has to be done in an environmentally positive way. It has to be done in a partnership way. But definitely Russia will be doing a big part of Arctic exploration. And if other nations continue to invest in infrastructure for Arctic exploration, continue to extract minerals, this is very important for the world. You know, very important not to underestimate increased demand for minerals. Glencore estimates that by 2025 we need to double the supply of copper, and I think quadruple the supply of nickel to be zero neutral for the world. So I think there are common elements between Russia, US, other nations, which is we care about environment, we care about supplying the world in a predictable manner. So definitely exploration of different nations of Arctica is a positive thing.
So you're not worried about a Russia or an American invasion of Greenland?
Again, I think it's more of a Greenland and Denmark issue to worry about.
Talk to me about the prospects for a Donald Trump presidency. Are you optimistic that things will change in the Russia-U.S. relationship?
Well, first of all, I think we're big believers the Trump team is a very professional team. It's a team of very highly qualified people who have been very successful before. And I think that's a big differentiator between Trump team and the previous team, because you really have very successful business people, very successful people who have had a significant track record of achievement. So not so much politicians who are basically focused on sort of political things, but people who get things done. So in that regard, I think it's important to remember that in 2020, for example, with support of President Trump, Russia and Saudi Arabia and other nations came together to stabilize oil markets. Oil price was $20 at that time. Basically, it was horrible for all of the countries because investment in oil infrastructure would basically have stopped. So it was President Trump who really played a decisive role at that time, working together with President Putin, working together with King Salman, and the effect of this work was stable supply and demand, and we enjoy, reasonable oil prices that are good for suppliers and buyers right now. So there is no question that Trump administration is much more positive for the world, much more pragmatic. And yes, there are lots of interesting ideas coming out, and we'll see how they play out. But definitely there is an opportunity for better dialogue between Russia and the U.S. And again, we need to have problem solvers. Yeah. We cannot have just politicians who focus on negative and just basically try to increase the risk of nuclear war in the world. We need to have politicians and business people who say, okay, what are the issues we agree on? What are the issues we disagree on? What are the security concerns of Russia? How can those be addressed in a problem-solving manner? So we are quite hopeful, but again, it's too early to say and too early to predict how it will evolve.
How quickly we could get to the table?
I think, again, if you hear what President Trump said publicly, he is quite eager to address many issues in global security quite fast. And by the way, we really appreciate the effort he played in resolving the Israel-Hamas conflict, and we hope it all works out well. But definitely you see that his decisive action has been critical to address this conflict in a very quick manner. So I think it will take time to address all of the issues, but to start the discussion, to start the dialogue, I think it's possible to do pretty quickly after the inauguration.
And I know this isn't your portfolio, but I have to ask, since we are here in the Middle East, obviously the fall of Bashar al-Assad came as a great surprise to many around the world. In your mind, does that leave Russia behind or on the back foot in the Middle East?
No, I think, first of all, Russia has been a great friend to many countries in the Middle East, working closely with Saudi Arabia, with other Middle Eastern nations. And basically, there are many reasons for some of the things that are happening. But I think people in the Middle East appreciate a very predictable Russian policy. For example, on Palestine state, Russia has always advocated two-state solution. And we've been very focused on this. So Russia has always been focused on peace, on stability, not really trying to intervene into the region, not trying to undermine the region. And I think many people appreciate this stability and predictability. We see that some other countries tend to try to force some decisions, try to force some solutions, but Russia has always been much more of a predictable long-term player set on clear priorities of supporting the region.
How worried is Russia about the end of the Chinese commodities super cycle? Because obviously they are a big export market for you.
Yeah, well, first of all, China economy still continue to do well. And of course, there will be more pressure from the upcoming U.S. administration. But we see China market has been very resilient, major demand from domestic market. So I think China will continue to be strong. It managed to basically build lots of partnerships in the global south. And frankly, while Biden administration really undermined dollar globally, by weaponizing dollar, China's much more I would say, long-term positive approach has been appealing to many of the nations of the global south. So China will continue to be a major economy, continue to play a big role. Commodity cycles go up and down, but definitely, trade between Russia and China will continue to increase, and there is major demand from China in the commodity markets. Glencore and others are better in predicting super cycles and commodity cycles, but we still believe China will continue having strong demand for commodities going forward.
What about the possibility of a trade war between China and the United States? Is that something that you are including in your future planning?
Well, first of all, if you listen to discussions on tariffs, I think it's very interesting what will happen on tariffs, because I think we could find out as soon as next week if major increase in tariffs will happen. I think that will increase to mineral production in the U.S. That will obviously cause some ripple effects in the mineral industry in some other nations. So I think we'll see how it all plays out. I think, once again, tariffs could be the most disruptive force to the mineral industry this year. Yeah. So everybody talks about green transition, everybody talks about financing, other challenges, but we believe that tariffs and tariff policy could be a big disruptor for the industry this year coming from the U.S.
We often talk about how energy markets bind the world together. The same can be said for other minerals as well. Of course, critical minerals, something we're talking about. Are you worried that we're going to see a critical mineral crunch?
Well, actually, critical mineral crunch is not so bad for Russia, because Russia controls a big part of rare metals and rare earth elements that are important. So basically, I would not call it a crunch. I would call it a call for nations to work together on rare minerals to really build infrastructure and extract them in a joint manner. And we're exploring lots of partnership opportunities with China, with other BRICS nations, to actually jointly develop rare earth metals. So definitely sanctions and other aggressive tactics do not help in sectors where there is a scarcity of certain commodities such as rare metals. Yeah. And so sectors require a joint positive thinking of how to make sure that they've been extracted, to promote green transition, to promote all of the things needed for the world to move forward technologically.
And tell me this, just with regards to the progress made in the Russian economy. We see over the last year that you have record highs when it comes to mineral exports. But at the same time, inflation's at 9%, and I think your interest rates are around 21%. What is the plan to get those interest rates down and to control inflation?
Well, first of all, Russia's economy has done very well. So if you look in the perspective, this year Russia had the GDP growth of 4%. And if you look in Europe, the growth was 1% or less. And frankly, Europe is really suffering from not receiving Russian gas. We estimate that the losses of Europe from not receiving Russian gas is more than €1 trillion in total. And that will have huge effect on Europe resiliency and industry going forward. Our central bank keeps rates quite high to basically control inflation, which is at 8-9%. We have publicly said that we believe the rates are too high and they should be really brought down. So we hope that in this year central bank will be less restrictive in its policy. But I think, if you think about all of the attempts to really destroy and undermine Russian economy, 4% growth doesn't look so bad. I think next year central bank policy will be one of the more critical ones to continue Russian economy growth. Maybe growth will slow down to 2% or so, but you're right that central bank rate is one of the key drivers going forward. Also, many people don't really know in the West and the global South that Russia has really record employment figures. Our unemployment is basically less than 2% right now. So a big challenge to the Russian economy is actually having sufficient labor for its labor market. So that is another restriction for the economy.
And finally, sir, U.S. President Donald Trump, he has said repeatedly that U.S. LNG should find markets abroad, particularly in Europe. And of course, that has implications for Russia. There are conversations being held in Brussels right now that more sanctions are on the table in terms of Russian LNG. How is that going to impact the economy?
Yeah, well, first of all, as I mentioned, we believe that Russia and the U.S. could have a great relation together, and not only it requires people really who are problem solvers, who are trying to find what are the areas we can do jointly well together, such as fighting terrorism, and we could also have joint economic initiatives, even in energy, as was shown by 2020 example on oil. So I think Europe is really a big economic loser from the current approach right now. How do we know it? Industrial enterprises are being shut up. people are being unemployed. There is lots of...
Most Europeans would say that's Russia's fault.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the fault of Europeans for not receiving cheap Russian energy supplies. But regardless, I think there is a problem solving around if you want Europe to go forward as an industrial nation, of course it needs access to cheap energy. And I think some combination of LNG from different players in the world is required for European growth. I think Europe will be changing this year as it has less pressure from the US to do economically unreasonable things for Europe. And I think Europe will become more of a focused on economy of Europe, on European jobs, European people. We see the strengths of many parties in Europe who are really pro-employment, who are really pro-Europe economy. So I think Europe will be changing this year, and my prediction is that it will be much more focused on growth, on economy, on ensuring stable gas supplies from all over the world, than on really being pushed into economical and justifiable decisions.
Carol, it's always great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Future
Hadley.
Minerals Forum. Thank you,
Hadley. Thank you very much.
At Arabiya News, we go beyond the headlines.
From the latest breaking news to in-depth coverage of global events.
We're not bought or sold. Nobody owns us.
The loss of life, the destruction of property. The conflicts are such a terrible thing.
Context and analysis to help you see the full picture.
The world is in a very dangerous place.
Join us on Arabiya News,
It's very impressive.
where knowledge meets perspective.
Mr. Richard, how do you see Trump's presidency playing a role in the innovation of the crypto industry over the coming 4 years?
First of all, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, I think we are all positive with President Trump administration, right? So if you look at it, he has appointed the AI and crypto czar, meaning that these are the two key areas. And if you think about it, these are the two key technologies that will be driving every economic subsector going forward, from real estate to media, entertainment, to supply chain financing, and financial services in general. And these are the two most important technology to drive cost efficiency and effectiveness. So we're very excited with his administration. He promised to appoint pro-crypto regulators that will formulate clarity and give clarity to this space, but also things like US strategic Bitcoin reserves. And those are things that we're all looking forward to. And US has an outsized influence globally. So with that positive narrative, I do think that many countries around the world will start firstly looking at strategic Bitcoin reserve as well. And then secondly, giving much more clarity in terms of regulations to regulate this space.
What would be different to Binance under Trump presidency? Are you planning to gain your full license in all the states anytime soon?
At Binance, there's nothing that's going to be different, right? We're focusing on building. Last year, we started the year reaching an important milestone of 250 million users globally, and that's huge. So we are looking forward to continue to serve our global users to the best of our ability to do so. We will continue to monitor the US market. At this point in time, we have no plans, but going forward, depending on how things evolve, we may reconsider that issue further down the road.
Regulation is a main topic in the crypto industry. How does Binance approach working with the regulators in the different markets?
That's one of my 3 commitments when I stepped into the role of CEO in November of 2023, right? My second commitment is to really work very closely with global regulators on this front, because the direction of travel is very clear. There's going to be much clearer regulations, much more compliance, which is why we invest very heavily in the compliance space, and we work very closely with global regulators and law enforcement agencies. Binance is the most regulated crypto exchange globally. We have 21 regulatory approval globally, the latest one being in Brazil. And last year in 2024 alone, we secured 7 new regulatory approval, including in Argentina, Brazil, Thailand, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Dubai, and that list goes on. And we look forward to work very closely with global regulators to formulate frameworks that on the one hand support the innovative part of crypto and on the other hand manages the risk aspect of crypto.
In the MENA region, how do you assess the adoption of a crypto industry and what is missing? What are your views when it comes to Saudi and UAE?
If you look at it, Saudi is an extremely important market in the MENA region. But if you look at the development of crypto regulations, just that aspect alone, Bahrain and UAE are ahead of the curve. So that's only on the regulatory aspects, and we work very closely with regulators in Bahrain and UAE. We are regulated in both countries and jurisdiction across the different parts of UAE as well. We're looking forward to working very closely with regulators in Saudi, including SAMA, CMA on that front, as Saudi look to develop its own crypto regulatory framework to support this sector. As I mentioned, crypto together with AI are the two most important industry, and we look forward to really support everybody's journey on this. Crypto adoption in the MENA region is extremely high. In UAE alone, I believe is above 30% in terms of crypto adoption. Saudi has very, very high adoption as well. And we look forward to be in the Saudi market, working very closely with regulators to be regulated there, working very closely with the banks and payment service providers to really support our Saudi friends in terms of their crypto journey.
How do you view the rise of decentralized exchanges compared to centralized ones? Do you see a future where DEXs become more dominant?
My view is this, right? So we are at a very early stage of crypto adoption. So we are between 7 and 8%. If you look at what happened to internet, for instance, and every technology, once you reach a critical adoption pace of about 7 to 8%, the next 10% will come through very quickly. So that means that both centralized exchange and decentralized exchange will continue to grow because the pie is growing, and we are very excited with that future. Will there come a time where decentralized exchange overtakes centralized exchange? It may happen. But as of now, centralized exchange offer many features that decentralized exchange are not able to offer, right? For example, proper customer service, people that you can contact. Regulators can work with centralized exchange to regulate them, make sure there's proper KYB, KYC, customer onboarding, transaction monitoring. And those are things that they can't do with decentralized exchange, right? So with more activities moving there, I do think regulators will start to focus their attention on decentralized exchange part of it. Will it overtake? Over the very, very long term, it might happen when you have much more crypto native being in the industry. But as of now, I think centralized exchange will still play a critical part in most people's crypto journey.
What upcoming projects or technological advancements is Binance focusing on?
We are agnostic, and what we want to do, we are the largest crypto ecosystem. What we wish to do at this very early stage of crypto adoption is to really support the different areas of innovation, right? So be it in terms of things like stable coins, in terms of payment space, utility, the infrastructure layer, DeFi, GameFi, you have things like AI agent, etc., and the list goes on, right? And all these are innovation. The way for crypto to continue to develop and be sustainable are firstly much clearer regulations, much better user interface and product features, but also more importantly, having more innovation and more utility, more use cases. And that will continue to support the crypto narrative and adoption globally.
How important are the partnerships and collaborations to Binance's growth strategy? Can you share any excitement partnership that Binance is working on?
It's very important. So it's one of my 3 commitments. It's my 3rd commitment. The reason why partnership is important is, again, we are at a very early stage of crypto adoption. So we want to make sure that we support different forms of innovation. And we can't do it alone. We can only do it through partnerships. As more and more people come together and rethink the future of the world, be it in terms of financial services, in terms of payments, in terms of entertainment, in terms of DeFi, etc., the better we will be. So all these are achieved through partnership. We just announced an important partnership with USDC, with Circle, in terms of supporting stablecoin, which is an extremely important use case and utility within the crypto world. So globally, in different regions around the world, we have different forms of partnership, and we will continue to work very closely with our global as well as regional and local partners to support crypto adoption.
Is there anything you would like to say to Binance users or the broader crypto community watching this interview today?
We are very grateful. We have achieved a key milestone of 250 million users in 2025. Last year, we onboarded 70 million new users alone. So if you think about it, close to 30% of users are new users on the platform. We're extremely, extremely grateful for all your support, trust, and confidence, something that we hold very dear. And we continue to build the best-in-class platform with the best features out there to really support everybody in their crypto journey. We are still early, keep building, the future is bright.
From the White House to Gaza, Kyiv to Beijing, elections, economics and the environment compete with conflicts and other complex issues for our attention. In an age of fake news, deepfake and artificial intelligence,
they've got to have a vote and a say.
It's important to look beyond the loudest voice to understand the truth. From newsmakers to groundbreakers,
my campaign is going very well.
Presidents, prime ministers, princes and peacemakers, and cultural tastemakers.
As Arabs, as Middle Eastern, we're too emotional.
Join me on the Riz Khan Show for empowering conversation.
Honolulu, a journey that'll give you history, food trips, and adventure. But more than anything, Honolulu offers you nature at its best. One of the most famous is Waikiki, the beachfront neighborhood of Honolulu and the most touristy area in town. Occupying a long stretch of the coast on the south shore of Honolulu, Waikiki's got a strip of high-rise hotels and resorts lining the beach. Other famous spots on the historical side include the Lolani Palace, a historical landmark in downtown Honolulu, originally built in 1879. Pearl Harbor is also considered a memorial attraction in Honolulu. Meanwhile, the local Hawaiian cuisine is certainly a thing to try. Then there's a Honolulu's Chinatown for fresh produce. The busy market section of Honolulu smells of fresh fruits and veggies and meat and fish. Here you can buy produce at great prices. And finally, here are Honolulu's well-known nature trips. The Hanayuma Bay is one of the most famous places on the entire island for snorkeling. It's a nature reserve and marine sanctuary. Hiking is one of the best things to do in Honolulu. There are quite a few good hikes right in the Honolulu area. Some of them a bit outside of the city limits, but others are just right in the city. Take your pick. Then, of course, there's the Diamond Head, which is the iconic former volcano that's an emblem of travelers visiting Honolulu. People often like to take photos with it as a backdrop, but the view is in fact so much better when you're on top of it. Then, there's the Manoa Falls that offers a lush green jungle hike. It's a good way to appreciate the greenery and plants and trees of Hawaii. The north shore of Oahu is also great for surfing, or try the bodyboard, stand-up paddleboard, and other ocean activities. And then there's the Honolulu Zoo that's home to 905 different animals. along with the diversity of different animals at the Honolulu Zoo, also neatly designed with many different lush tropical gardens. And finally, the Waikiki Aquarium is a good place to learn about the marine life of Hawaii.
This is the dressing room with Al Arabiya News. Coley, what have you got on today?
Why are you sat on a pillow?
Listen,
Booster seat.
Oh my God, you gotta understand.
I can't see it right now, but Joe is sat on a big pillow.
Big pillow. Like the producer came in with the booster seat for him.
I get a lot of stick, mate. You know, I get it all the time.
It's quite small though, isn't it?
No. You look massive now. National average, Coley. 5'9".
Don't give me that. I'm not having that.
No, national average. 5'9". Yeah, 5'9".
Don't try and put.
No.
5'9".
I'll check it out. 5'9". But I get it all the time. Maybe I have shrunk. Because when I'm on TNT, they put me next to Crouchy, right? And where you stand,
yeah,
like they make me look worse. So I'm sort of like, I look tiny. So every amount of people come up to me and go, You're taller than you look. I'm like, I know. Standing next to the giant.
I've got a wicked picture of me, you, Crouchy, and Jules Breach, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it looked like like Crouchy was first, then it was me because I'm shorter than him, then it was you because you're shorter than me, then it was Jules and she's the shortest. Yeah? And it looked like a reception barcode or something like that. You know, like reception on your phone and you see the bars going up.
Yeah.
Just looked like that. The network, we were receiving like high network. Full bars we had.
Oh, mate, that's brilliant.
But yeah, it was good. I'll have to put that picture up. I'll have to put that picture up.
Put it up. Well, right, thanks for that, Bridgie.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of killed you straight away.
I sort of know what you... I got a phone call from you at 12 at night. Just, I thought, what's he want? But a video call.
A video call.
He answered for once. I answered. No, because you're thinking something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? He's there. It's like an episode of Blue Peter. He's cutting something out. He's going, Keys, look, and he's showing me his cupboards. He's putting wallpaper up in behind this thing. And he's going, what do you think? Like, and I'm just like, why are you bothering me at this time?
At this time of night.
He's showing me Frankie. She's going, all right. She's like that. And I'm...
Oh, do you know what happened? I went out with Dad for a few beers and basically it was about 4 o'clock and Frank had started doing a DIY project. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she was like, well, I've seen this thing on TikTok and we got these shelving things. She wanted like a back, she wanted like wallpaper at the back of it as a bit of a feature. And I'm feeling like that ain't going to last 5 minutes. And on the way back from the pub, we only went out for a few hours, had a few, and I got there and everything was just a mess. And I thought, I'll have a go. And then I was there to actually 2 a.m. in the morning finishing it off.
I'm glad you did.
Like once I start something, I've got to finish it. So, but I remember calling you. You don't really usually answer, do you? Sometimes you do.
Do you know what? Yeah, he's just trying his luck to see if I can get Coley on the blower. Look what I'm doing, Coley. And he answered.
It actually looks all right. I'll have to send you a finished article. They don't look bad, to be fair.
Yeah, that was good. Anything else you've been up to?
Kids football.
Yeah.
Kids football. Yeah. My Parker usually plays in goal, plays on pitch on a Saturday. He missed the penalty actually.
Did he?
Yeah, and I was distraught, mate.
Were their games called?
Only one of them because they played on Astro and it was like 10:30.
Heating pitches in Surrey.
Heating pitches in Surrey, yeah.
It was Astro though, so it wasn't bad. It was half 10. It falled out a little bit, but like he played really well. To be fair, the whole team did. Like, worked really hard, played some great football. And near the end of the game, he got a penalty and he was taking it straight away. I was like, oh no,
really?
Please don't miss it because I'd probably say he's the more emotional one out of the two that play football, and he missed, but it was afterwards, Matt, on the way home. Where he usually has all his not all the team, but a few. There's about 6 of them, and they were just having banter as kids do. And then out of nowhere, mate, all I heard was, "Well, I'd rather miss a penalty 5-0 up than give a penalty away against Tottenham in a cup final." Mate, it's brutal. I ain't even said anything, mate. And he was just like, so. I'm just like, oh my...
You are getting bullied in your own establishment.
I think he was just giving me stick to take it away from him, I think. His mates must have been giving him a bit of stick.
You know what? That's
brutal.
I like that about him, though.
I
How
don't.
often do you see that in football, though? Do you know, like, when you come in at half-time and you see them players that have made a mistake, and, say the fullbacks and then the crosses come in. They come in on the front foot. Yeah. Where was you? Shut up, mate. You do your job.
What are you coming for me for?
That's usual in football.
Yeah.
What are you coming for me for?
Oh, it's brutal,
I used to get that
though.
quite a lot.
What about you? Did you get up to much?
Me?
Apart from speaking to me.
Getting phone calls at midnight about DIY. What have I done? Carly was away skiing in Morzine, so I had the kids, and both games got called off. So I bought a cricket bat. My little boy loves cricket, so I went to a shop in Clapham. No clue. I'm standing there, the geezer must have looked at me, like I'm looking, and he's like, there's sizes to it. Did you know, like, you have to knock a bat in? You heard about this?
Yeah, when you get to a certain level, my kids play a bit of cricket.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, you have to harden it. They put it in this machine, and it so, like, it don't snap when it breaks. Yeah. And there's certain bats mate, they just look like a lump of wood.
It's crazy what you need for it. It's expensive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah. But
he picked up, I let him go and have a choice of bats.
Yeah.
And then the guy went, well, they're the most expensive ones. I went, how much? But nah, pick a different bat, mate. It's going to last you bat.
Just a bat. But do you know what it is like, mate? I went to the Lord's cricket ground. I went to watch England. I think it was Australia.
I think you sent me a picture this day.
I was like floating about with John Major in the box.
That is
John Major.
Me and John Major, bro. We'll get that picture up, yeah?
Please get the picture up.
Like, I looked the part.
Yeah.
I was trying to watch the game, but John Major was in my ear all the night.
Didn't you have a friendship?
Yeah, we had a little. Yeah. We've talked about the future.
Yeah.
It's not materialised. I said, I'll get your number afterwards, yeah? He was off, mate, before I could even get it. He says, no, I don't want to be a Cole. It's not my type.
Imagine Cole.
It's not my type of friend.
Cole and John Major.
Yeah, that was I wanted the friendship to blossom, actually.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually materialise. But I did learn a few things at the cricket.
Yeah.
It was quite good.
Enjoyed it?
I was taken down there by a few of my mates.
Yeah.
And we had a good time. Richard Thompson was there, and he's got his box because he's like the chairman.
Okay.
And he actually looked at me and thought, I think Coley would like a piece of this. And I just didn't even know
like a
what
bit of
was going
hospitality,
on.
didn't you?
I like hospitality. That's what I liked.
I've never been to a cricket match, but my mates...
Hospitality is unbelievable.
Yeah, I want to go in the summer.
It's a great day out.
It is a great day out.
Yeah.
I think to myself, if they're saying that, it's a great day out because they're going there just to drink.
Just the food.
I'm like,
but the food's good as well.
Anyway, they go...
No, the food's good as well because they got like...
Oh, they ain't
They got like oyster bars.
Yeah, but my lot ain't getting
different stuff.
I ain't eating oyster bars, mate.
But there's different type of food there. Like
Brentford. Why are you talking about oyster bars?
Listen, man, I don't forget my roots. I enjoy the niceties. Was it the niceties? The niceties of life. You know what I mean? So, listen, for me, I look at it and I think, you know what? Like, you got to experience these type of things. Like, I haven't been to the rugby yet. I've never been to a rugby match.
Really? They're good. I've
never been to a
rugby's
rugby
good
match.
game to watch. Yeah.
Have you been to a
cricket though? We should do cricket.
Yeah, cricket. We do a cricket.
Yeah.
Could you get to dress up a little bit? You know what I mean? You know I like dressing up.
Yeah. You are smooth. You are smooth. Well, listen, it was the FA Cup this weekend. What a round of games.
Yeah.
And we got to start off with yesterday's game, Arsenal versus Manchester United. I mean, this traditionally in the 90s and the early 90s was the game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was a good, proper FA Cup game.
It was.
What did you reckon?
For me, something about Arsenal in that white kit that's just not doing it. I think they've got a record. Every time I think it's the last 4 years, because actually the kit is for a good cause.
Yeah.
It's to prevent knife crime.
Right, yeah.
So it's
True.
like no.
Yeah.
Because obviously Arsenal are red, so representing blood.
Yeah.
Knife crime and that, and I think it's done by Idris Elba.
Right.
Actually.
Okay.
And I do my stuff for charity on the side as well, but he's doing this is a great cause. So every year they've worn that kit, they haven't won. It's just bizarre how every time they put on that white kit, they haven't won. So it's quite...
It didn't look right, did it? Like, it was a great cause, but like I know what you're saying. Like,
it just doesn't look right
red
for
or
Arsenal.
yellow.
Yeah. But it didn't work out for them anyway, again, in that kit. And I thought the game alone, they should have won.
Yeah.
They should have won, but they just didn't... they couldn't finish their chances. And this is going to boil down to what do they need again?
Centre forward.
Centre forward. Yeah. Especially now, Gabriel Jesus is out. Havertz, if he hits a lull, they ain't got no one to put the ball in the back of the net.
I think I read it yesterday, or someone might have told me, since 2019, they've signed 17 defenders.
Wow.
And only 6 attackers.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. And that's not even centre forwards, attacking players.
That's Arteta's reign, 1920 when he come in. Yeah. That's
he's always
incredible, isn't it?
I think with him, he's always makeshifting. Like he's using someone that's actually like Havertz. He's come in. I thought he was going to be probably a direct replacement, not fully on, but something to subsidise the fact that Xhaka had left.
Yeah,
Xhaka was a very important cog in that wheel. Now, I didn't know he was going straight up front as a number 9, but fair play to him. He filled in the role quite well for when he first came.
He's done well.
You know what I mean? He's done really well.
I've never really thought he's that player that can play up there who's going to win you games. I think he's a nice player. He looks good. He can do, but he ain't someone that I would look at. And obviously, I haven't seen him loads. What I've seen, I think, he's tidy, but he ain't got that. He ain't going to go and win you.
I think he's a number 10.
You know what I mean? He ain't like.
I think he's like a number 10.
A proper centre forward, is he? He's a tidy player. He ain't. I wouldn't say he's ruthless.
No, he's not. He's not ruthless. That's a good way of putting it.
He's not.
He's beautiful.
It's not like a Haaland where well, Haaland misses his fair chances as well. But I look at Haaland and I look at Havertz. Who are you going to be more fearful of? Haaland
all day long, mate.
So, and if you're serious about winning the title, you've got to have you've got to set fear in these defenders' hearts, because you look at it, you think, do you know what? I look at Arsenal, I think, they look nice and tidy building wise, but who's going to put the ball in the back of the net? Can't just rely on Saka, that's obviously now out for like 2 or 3 months. Then he has to cut inside. Do you know what as well? I've got to say about being a striker nowadays, and that's why you don't see, we're a dying breed. Most of the wingers nowadays, they want to cut inside. So the strikers don't even get across from the outside. So remember back in the day, Bridget, you'd always go on the outside and whip it in, and then the striker will come in and knock it in. There's not enough of that no more. So that's why the striker role, that's why everyone does the false 9? And they all come to feet and they forget. Come to feet. Everything's cut back. And it's
overloads in outside areas.
And I just think there's still room for that old school fashion kind of get on the outside and whip it in and get it on your head.
I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, when I watched the Man City game, the guy playing on the wing.
Sylvain.
And it was like watching a game back in the day. He was getting the ball and just getting straight to the fullback.
You
know, drop a shoulder, get round, get it in the box. I don't see loads of that anymore.
No, you're right.
Whenever I've watched, I've never seen much of it.
From a defensive, I think you're right, Colin. From a defensive perspective, right? So old-fashioned, I'm thinking you would have played against Aaron Lennon, Sean Wright-Phillips a lot. Them wingers were really lightning, and you know where they're going. They're looking at that byline to get it past you. Like, how hard is it early on in the game? Did you have a little tester? If you was playing against the winger and he's tried to drop his shoulder and beat, and if you, because when I was a winger and I was playing against a fullback, the first time I tried to dribble him, that was always set the tone for the game. Like, do you know what I mean? Did fullbacks think that? Did you think, he's quick, or?
I always knew I was in for a tough game. Aaron Lennon, Sean Wright-Phillips, players like that. And that is where it's just saying mentally switched on. You can't switch off. You've just got to, when it looks like they're going to get the ball, you've got to try and get close. And then if you can't, you've got to be careful. Don't get to them too quick. But for me, it was always trying to read the game, figuring out, right, it's going to go. I need to get on them straight away. So you're on their first touch. If you weren't, it's danger, because they're getting at you. You don't know which way they're going to go, drop the shoulder, and they're so quick over the first few yards. For me, it was just reading the game and getting on the first touch.
Did you see the tackle for the sending off from Manchester United? Really, he left it out of his feet, didn't he?
Oh, I know people said it's a blatant. I'm
sure?
a bit like that, to be honest. I know football's changed a lot. I'm like, I don't think it's that bad. He's not gone in with studs, I don't think. He's gone in with the front of his foot.
Yeah.
And those type of tackles, I know you've got to say you've got to guarantee you're going to get there, but I liken it to Sean and Aaron.
Yeah.
You think you're going to get there, you slide. They're that quick, they can just nick it and they're gone.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit like, you're gonna have to stamp out slide tackling soon, because that happens. Players are quick, they nick the ball. For me, it's a foul. A yellow card, I don't know.
It's a foul, yeah.
I don't know.
Do you know what killed him was that little zone there in front of both benches? Do you know that? They call it the red zone, right?
Yeah.
So that's where most red cards are, because if you think from a referee's perspective, if he sees a tackle going in there, he's going to see the other box jumping up, appealing, do you know, and that will affect the ref. So it's a fact.
It does, and that shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen, but refs are human beings. Like, right in front of there, I know what Arteta... I know what Amarim would have been thinking. As soon as he took that heavy touch, Lon was thinking, don't, and he's done it, and like, sort of turn around and go, you know the ref's going to go red.
Yeah,
it puts some pressure on the ref. It was a controversial game all round, you know.
They done well, Man United, though.
Yeah, listen, we can't take anything away from them.
Considering where they've been at, you know what I mean? They showed a bit of spirit, character, they're resilient.
Yeah.
I think them getting the first goal probably helped. Because then they're battling away still. If they go a goal down, it might have been a lot different, obviously. But them getting that goal, I think they showed fight, spirit and all that, and, you know, the crowd behind them, which they haven't shown over recent times. A bit of a knock-on effect from Liverpool, and they had that little bit of fight and spirit. I know they could have conceded goals, they just kept going and kept battling.
And you got to talk about Bayern there.
Yeah.
He was heroic, innit, wasn't he? I looked at him, I was thinking, who's this geezer? I never knew he was at the club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it just shows you what a good goalkeeper can do for you as well. Yeah. And also, when I look back at that game, like, I know we talk about Havertz, before, but I actually like what he done for the goal. I know that it's controversial. People talk about diving. People talking about diving, but
getting the penalty.
But I look at Havertz, and that's nothing to. You want your striker, if he's playing in front of you, Coley, you want him to do everything possible to get the upper hand. Right? Would you go over to him and batter him, say, no, that was a dive, you shouldn't? No. As a player.
No, you're right. You're player to player. Yeah, you're right. Player to player.
For the neutral fan, I get the neutral fan, they're going to look at it and think, that's cheating and not.
Yeah.
I want my striker to do something like that so we can get a goal.
Harry Maguire's hand was on him.
Yeah.
You can see why people do it.
Yeah.
I've had it myself before where, you know, if you're running with the ball and it's not really like a blatant foul. Yeah. You've had this little nudge or a little hand or something and it's put you off your stride.
It does.
It's put you off your stride.
Yeah, I know.
That affects what happens next.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, that was a foul. And they don't give it because it don't look that bad.
Yeah.
So I understand why people dive, because you get that touch. If it has put you off a little bit, you just thought, I'm just going to go down. But it was exaggerated. As it put him off his stride, has it done that? Probably not, because it was a weak hand and everything. But I understand why people do it, because it's so annoying when you get that little nudge or little flick and the ref don't give it because you haven't made a meal of it.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, like a Sam Allardyce or someone would go, listen, if he touches you, go down. Stop being honest. It's always stop being honest. And I was like, I don't know any other way to be. So for me personally, I wouldn't have gone down. I'd have tried my best to get to the second touch and try and put it in the net. Because that's how I am as a person. But I can understand how the game has evolved now. Everything in that box is like touch and go. So you've got to be very careful as a defender now. Because you don't know, even how they defend, like when they're from a corner kick, or not a corner kick, from a cross, and then they've got to put their hands behind their back now, because you can't have your hands loose no more, because they either get a penalty or there's a free kick somewhere. It's so hard to be a defender nowadays when you're in that final third. So I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, okay.
But you got to take advantage. If you can get the advantage, you've got to take advantage of it, because they'll do it to you.
I would have been it'd be nice if refs just goes, you know what, you can have the penalty, but for reacting and overreacting what you did, you can have a card as well.
It's controversial.
That's controversial.
There you go. Have your penalty, but stop being an idiot and rolling around.
Wayne Bridge justice.
That just sorted it right out, didn't it?
Mate, I tell you who's great at Didier Drogba.
Oh, mate.
Do you know what? And I think I might have heard Jamie Carragher say it. Might not have been, might have been someone else, but I remember him saying it's so annoying because he's so strong.
Yeah.
He would bully him, right? Yeah. And then when they go to give him a little bit, he would just dive and roll around. You couldn't win with him because he would bully you, and then or he'd just dive around.
I couldn't do that. Like for me, as a man,
as a man, you know your mates were in the stadium going, Cole, you got weights there.
You know what I mean? There's like, no, I can't. There's no bragging rights there.
Yeah.
So there was one time when I did get fouled and I've gone on the floor, but someone thought I actually was diving. I think it was against Arsenal, West Ham at Arsenal, Upton Park. And then someone thought I took a dive, and I didn't. And I was on the floor, and I felt like a little boy, man. I was on the floor like that, and I remember, I think the goalkeeper came over me. He's going, "You're a little cheat."
Layman?
No, it wasn't Layman. It was, I think it might have been Chesney or someone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a cheat. And I think someone came over again. I think it was Song came over me, and I was in the melee. I was on the floor like that. I was like, "No, I'm getting buoyed here." My mates are in the stands, and I'm like, "No, I gotta get up." He's not having me up, mate. I'm not having it. Anyway, man.
Did you ever get in any I don't ever remember you getting into any scuffles because you was a big guy. It's usually us little guys that are in there grabbing.
That was the first time I felt inferior to everybody on that.
Really?
Because I felt like a little wimp. Yeah, and I've never felt like that. I'm a big macho man, Coley. You know what I mean? Like, come in the building, make sure that everyone's safe. I'm the security guard. Yeah, I'm the security guard. Not me being on the floor like that. Nah, I had street cred to protect, man.
So Chesney made you look like Ian Bill.
Oh, mate, I've got to get that picture up as well. It was really bad. Anyway, and even when I come off the field, my missus,
Oh,
this
no.
is when you know. She goes, "You all right, babe?"
Oh, no.
Are you all right, babe? My own wife. I was like, nah, this. I was traumatized. That's why I'm still speaking about it today.
If you dived, you must have dived a few.
Oh, you definitely. He looks like a diver. Listen,
I would say he looks like him, but he's got it in him.
Mate,
accusations.
You must have made a meal of it. I've only done it once.
No.
You've done it a few times.
I never made a meal of it.
You made it look good.
If I was touched, I used to go down. Never made a meal because there's nothing worse. I remember remember Matt Elliott, the big Leicester. I saw him the other day, right? And I ain't seen him for 20 years. He was doing a Leicester game, and he looks like he's a unit, and he looks like he could do some damage to people. He's got that look about him.
He was always like that.
And I remember a game we played at Leicester. I went down for a penalty. It was a penalty. He fouled me, but I knew it was coming. I saw it was coming. Bang! I've gone down, and then, mate, he picked me up, and there must be a picture out there. My legs were off the floor, and he's grabbing me like that. And I was about 18 as well at the time, so I was like, Matt, do you remember that? Yeah. And he said some expletives and went, yeah, I remember. But
remembered it,
mate. I was like, what? That was when I first realised, wow, I'm in a men's game here. Yeah. No youth team players were lifting me off my feet. He was a big old unit. Yeah. But that's going back to Harry Maguire and his reaction to Havertz. I like that from him.
Yeah.
I think Harry needs to. If I was advising Harry, I think we talked about him last week, didn't we? He's a nice guy. He's a nice lad. I want him to be a bit more aggressive and assertive.
It should be normal to react like that. You're in a game. You know, do you know what I mean? It's normal to
Harry's, he's kind of a placid character. He's chilled. He's kind of chilled for a centre half because centre half's supposed to be in your face, but he does his job.
Yeah.
Does it efficiently, goes home and chills. Yeah. But there, he can see that hurt him because he knew. Hold on a minute, why are you going down? It's injustice. So, and you should be having to actually...
What was... Coley, sorry.
And you know what? The referee should read that as well.
Yeah.
How a player reacts. There's a big thing in that as well. There's a big thing. Look at the player.
That's what I'm saying.
It's unjust.
On the refs, really. They should know that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Body language, man.
Harry, if I was managing Manchester United manager, I'm managing Harry Maguire. Every game I'll be going, you're Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Don't remember that. Yeah. You look at the size here, go out there, dominant. They're not going to, I'll be right. I think he needs a little bit more of his chest puffed out, because I think believing in himself. But I was happy with him like that. But Man United was a stunning result for him. Do you know what I mean? And I think they can. I think now they look at that, and that could save their season.
That could kick on.
They could have a run in the
one against Liverpool and that. I think they just got to carry on with that spirit, really.
Yeah. And I look at other people looking at them and probably criticising them, saying, they won't do that again.
Yeah.
Mate, they've done it last week, they'll do it again this week, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's just something to build on.
Yeah.
Now they can see, like, okay, Amarim's got this.
Yeah.
Do you know what Amarim's done? He's built resilience.
Yeah.
That's what he's wanted. It's resilience. It doesn't mean that he's got his team. Doesn't mean he's got his right team or the right tactics right now, but at least he's got something to start with.
It goes a long way when you've got that belief in you're in a game, believing and fighting for each other.
Fair play to him.
If you've got people that have got their heads down, oh no, not another day, do you know what I mean? They've got a bit of belief.
But that's what you were saying last week. That's what you were saying. You were saying the same thing, saying, no, we want to at least see you run. Now they're running for each other, so that's a great thing for them. Yeah, so well done to Manchester United.
Well done to them, man. Listen, from one, that was a great game. Two big, what game I loved watching, the Spurs Tamworth game at the weekend, because I interviewed this Tamworth goalkeeper. Right, they're a proper. The guy's he's a building surveyor.
Is he?
The goalie, the captain. Like, we interviewed him for something else I was doing.
Yeah,
and he's in his car. And you know, before you go on air and you're interviewing him, like, what are you doing, mate? When he's like, just got a building to survey behind me. And now he's going to be playing against Son. And he was telling me what a big game it was for him. And he played really well. Yeah. He made some saves. And Spurs nearly had a Spursy moment, didn't they? They nearly. Sorry to all Spurs fans listening.
I was expecting the Spursy moment.
Yeah.
Because it looked like it was going that way, didn't it?
Sorry. Me and my eldest is Chelsea fan. We done the most Chelsea fans. We wasn't watching the game live. We watched it later on. But we got phone calls. I got a phone call saying, Spurs are going into extra time with Tamworth. We run to our car and go, we got to watch this. No, that's my son. He's 12 going, Dad, we got to watch this.
We got to watch this.
He's already started. He's got a group chat. So that he's like, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. We went home, but by the time we got home, they'd scored and the job was done.
Well, they needed that.
There's always one of them games that comes.
Have you played in any of them?
Yeah, I can't remember who, but it was for Chelsea. I think you were
we played.
I think you played in it.
Yeah.
And the pitch was terrible, and it does even it out when you'll play against people, and then you're always changing the team around as well. So it's not the usual team, and everyone wants to get in the start. So everyone wants to be starting, don't they? And it's their chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think that can go the team's way. People don't play how they would normally play. Sometimes try and do too much sometimes, but a pitch can even it out, and it's tough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting the ball under control is bobbly, passes down.
You're in their backyard.
Yeah,
so
and then
they know their conditions.
And you've got the fans getting in your head, mate. You're getting abused.
Yeah,
and they're there.
Non-stop. Right there, right in your face.
Yeah. Taking a corner, you can feel the geezers.
We need an early goal just to get this game under control.
Yeah. Well, that's like a you need that early drink when you go into a bar just to
settles the night.
And then you say, do you know what? So you just need that early goal. Same concept.
Yeah.
And the thing about it as well, like I've played in. Remember, I told you last week about my Indonesian escapades. Yeah.
This is going to be a segment.
Oh my gosh! So I've not had a good time there so far, and I get drawn the short straw. And I want to play football.
Yeah.
He's not playing me, the manager. He says, listen, I've got a gig for you. I've got a gig for you. We're going to go to Borneo. Yeah? Borneo.
Ain't that
it's an island. Yeah, that's a jungle, bro. And I've gone, born where? I'm born here. I'm not going Borneo. Yeah?
I swear.
But anyway, right, get on this plane, and it's like, you know those planes, like, the small ones, and it's got propellers.
Oh, Coley.
You can see that, and I'm like, mate, I feel like I'm in Indiana Jones. I think I'm going treasure hunting. Yeah? So anyway, we take off. We go to this. So it's beautiful scenes, like lovely island. And then as we're landing, I'm thinking we're doing circles around because I couldn't even see the tarmac. Yeah, I was thinking where are we landing? I was like, does this thing have like, you know those planes that can go on the sea?
Yeah.
You know those ones that I could. I was hoping that those things come out, like the buoys come out, and then we'll float, and then we'll go. So actually, so actually, it goes to the tarmac. We're going close. I'm thinking, here it is. Yeah. But then I'm not seeing any kind of life. I'm just seeing wildlife. Yeah, just jungle. Yeah, and I'm thinking, this is.
Did you question your choices?
I question my choices to saying yes to this trip. Yeah. Anyway, we're playing this team, Borneo. We've landed, and then I've gone to we go to the airport, and I'm looking at the airport. I'm thinking, from the airport, this is bad, yeah?
Yeah.
So what's the hotel going to be like?
The intent.
Oh my God. Anyway, they come and pick us up, and then the first people we see are the locals. And they look a lot different to what's on mainland.
Yeah.
These are like Aborigines.
Yeah.
They're like proper from there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, so what are the players like? Are there players? Are they going to be like this as well? So anyway, we get to the hotel. It's a decent enough hotel, but then we go to the training ground, and then the training ground was so bad. And I was thinking, do you know what? We're just going to have to just muck in here because it's not going to be a great. It's not a stadium as well. It's just a training ground basically, and then people watching just have to stay behind our barriers. So it's like a Sunday league team.
Yeah.
Basically. But this is like proper League One football over there. It's like their Premier League. And I'm thinking, So I'm thinking the next day, so we had to sleep there, and our game went until night. Yeah, and I was thinking, okay, so after the game, do we leave? They said, no, we've got to wait till the next day. So I said, I've got to stay here for 2 nights.
Night out in Borneo.
Oh, my God. Night out?
He wasn't leaving his room, mate. He don't know what's out there.
My room, mate.
Carlton Cole will find a night out somewhere.
No, they can't find them. There was no night out over there. Anyway, we got to the game, and I'm thinking, and he's gone, you're starting. I've gone, am I? I said, I better be. That's all I got. Anyway, every touch I had, the whole crowd was going, boom! Oh, it was such a bad experience. We did win the game like 4-5-0. I think I scored 1 goal. But it was horrific. It was horrific. And and then you're talking about Tamworth, or you're talking about, where did you play?
We're comparing
I don't even know where it was.
Scarborough.
Scarborough, that's it, Scarborough.
Scarborough, yeah. That's a doddle, mate.
Yeah.
You ain't done this. You ain't done this. So,
You've 11 reefed us there. You've topped us.
Yeah, so I've done that before. Been there, done that. Got the badge.
Yeah. Listen, Spurs got the job done. They got big games coming up, but big changes as well.
Yeah.
Managerial changes, you know. The one that catches the eye for me is, and me and Coley, we obviously with West Ham connection, but David Moyes returning. Yeah. It's home for him, innit? Yeah. Everton. First of all, I'd say, from my perspective, Sean Dyche leaving. I mean, I know Everton fans listening to them. We had Carl on last week, and he wasn't happy with the style of football.
Still not happy.
Still not happy.
He's fuming. Yeah, he's not happy.
Mate, like.
He can't be happy, surely.
We need to
backwards.
Is he on his
backwards? That's all I got.
Is he inspired?
Nothing else. He sounded too upset, so I left it at that. He said we're going backwards.
Is he inspired by the David Moyes sign?
No, he says backwards. That was his reply, backwards.
I think it's a good thing because for me, when I look at the David Moyes scenario, and I was doing a bit of radio the other day, and was getting some Everton fans calling in, and some of them are just. I said, you lot are ungrateful. Like, he's done so much for your club. Yeah. He had a good, 10 to 12 year span over there, didn't he?
FA Cup finals.
And why wouldn't you want that again?
Yeah. What I got from Carl was the future.
Yeah.
I think Moyes could do all right.
But he just needs to consolidate.
They're all... I don't know if his fans want him too much. Well, what's he going to do for the future and getting better as a team and a thing? But like you said... ungrateful. It probably is like a step in the right direction for him. Maybe
right
make something happen, but it's hard to call.
And the David Moyes
it's hard, mate.
The David Moyes of then ain't the David Moyes of now. He's travelled the globe a little bit, isn't he? He's gone to Spain. Yeah, it wasn't great for him, but he's learnt.
Won the big one in Europe.
Won the big one in Europe with West Ham. Had 2 stints at West Ham.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he's worth his weight in what he does, and he does consolidate you in the Premier League. Now that's what they need. Everton have been flirting with relegation for so long, it's become accustomed to their culture. Yeah. It's not good. So they need to actually get somewhere up the league, further up now, and say, listen, we're going to be here for a couple of years. Now we're going to build on this and go again. Then you could probably get a new manager if that's what you want to do. But step by step, you've got a new stadium.
Do you know what they're like? I think of it like an old sitcom, right? So you've got I'm going to go off piste a little bit here. So you've got 2 little
semi-detached there, whatever, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
The one neighbours have won the lottery. They're going on holiday. They're going to Europe. They're bringing back tradition, and they're over the garden fence. They bring. Look what we brought back. And this geezer here, he's struggling like he's Everton, and he's getting more and more angry. And I don't know what's going on here. Like
that is what it is.
That's what it's like in made, because I think obviously I played at Liverpool, and love the people there.
Yeah.
And it's a weird rivalry because they're all close, they're all family and all that. So it's not. I don't think there's the nastiness in it like there is other rivalries. But there's that little they're like, all right, lad, all right, yeah, and then they're going in, they're bloody over the road.
He's an idiot. And he's all right to go and have a beer with, but after the that, I'm not seeing him again this week.
Too much.
That's too much.
That's what I
get that. That's a great concept.
Yeah.
That's a great concept. I think, no, to be honest, I think they'll grow from this.
Yeah.
At least they'll get, like, Calvert-Lewin playing.
Yeah.
He loves, Moyes, he loves a big, robust striker. Then he'll love Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
So just get the crosses into him.
They know what he's about, Moyes. It's a... I kind of say it's a bit of a safe... Not safe, but you hope so. It's a safe one. I look at it and think, well, what else are they going to get?
Yeah.
What other options are there? Really?
Do you think... If you know David Moyes a little bit, he would wanted that job, clearly. You know, he loved the club, but do you think he's been promised money, Coley? Like, because I think he's a sensible man as well. And he look at the squad and go, maybe I'm not coming back here until you guys
put your money
back.
Put your money where your mouth is. And the thing about it, I see him actually going for that as well. Like he's thinking, I'm back to where, and things have changed. They've got a new training ground since he's left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
New stadium come in.
Yeah. It's a better project now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like for him, so he must be thinking, do you know what? If they put a bit of cash behind him as well, it's a no-brainer. Couple of years, 3 years, see how it goes. I think he will kick them on a little bit, and then they can start threatening for Europe.
Yeah.
Now they can get the pool, they can get players in as well. Yeah. He's got that
big club.
It's a big club.
You also see a reaction from the players that are there.
Yeah. Like Beto. I think he's gonna like Beto because he's a hard-working centre forward. Very hard-working.
Players that maybe are on the fringes as well.
Yeah, because Beto looked like he was
manager
leaving.
comes on, it's a second chance from a little bit, isn't it? You know what it's like.
There's loads of them in that squad that can do that, like, and just go. They've got quality. They're not all like down and out. They've all can like revitalise themselves, galvanise themselves to get to the next level. But it does take a good manager that believes in them to play to their strengths. And I think they've got that format. I don't think a lot's going to change in the style of play because Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happened there, by the way. Let's talk about that sacking, by the way. That was bang out of order. That was it was like a couple of hours before the match against.
We need to talk about this. We are going to come on to this, because a couple hours before a game. But what are these owners doing?
What are you doing?
He's about to prepare. I looked at. Did you see Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman on the sideline? They took it, and you could. I'm so glad they won the game for them. But it was sort of like.
Did they know they was taking it?
How did they even pick the team? Hours you got set pieces. They done so well, but. That needs to be a bit more thought through, I think. It's just for everyone concerned. And Sean Dyche didn't deserve it.
It doesn't look proper, though, because when I looked at...
I look at it and I quite like it, though. Part of me is like, I would have loved to have had a chance.
Have a chance. Well, you woke up in the morning... Benji, you woke up that morning thinking... I might get a game here, let alone managing the team.
It's great for a minute.
Woke up,
both been there.
I'm in the squad for the game today. And then all of a sudden, he's got his numbers being stripped off his track, so he's got SC in it.
I think it's great for him though. He's been there so long. He's been great for the club. I quite like it. I get what you mean. It's a rubbish way to do it, but I quite like it. As well.
I want to know what that conversation was like. Though,
I know.
Between the owners, it must have been like. I'm going to reenact it here,
Imagine, I don't know, for instance, us two. Well, you're managing a team. It's great, wouldn't it? The banter we would have had about it.
You'd be like that with
Who should we play today? I'll get rid of him.
Because I know Baines's doing his work as well. Baines's doing a lot of work away from the club with the FA.
Yeah.
He's doing his badges and that. But he's a great lad as well, Leighton Baines. I really want the best for him. He's a great lad. And the thing about it, that conversation must have been like, hey, Sean, need a little chat? This is at the hotel, by the way. Little chat. We've just looked at our position in the league. can you tell me why we've only won 3 games out of the last 20? And then Sean must have been like, well, it's the players. I can't do much with these boys. That must have been the conversation. And they've said, you know what? Let's rip this up, yeah? This contract, you got to go. That's probably what's happened, because it doesn't make sense that they've done it on the morning of the game.
It don't make sense.
It's nonsense. Like, who does that?
It don't make sense. I mean,
and I'm just saying, that's the way I thought that conversation had gone. Definitely.
I actually, my last year playing, I was player assistant manager for 6 months. And
that must have been...
That was weird, but it's weird. It's weird because you're like...
Player assistant manager.
So it was 2 weeks before I was in a nightclub in Puerto Rico when we was playing away from home with the lads, 4 or 5 in the morning, right? It was a great night out.
Was it?
Oh, I loved it, right? Then we're warming down in the... We had to do a warm down in the sea in Puerto Rico at 9, and I would come in at 5 in the morning. And you know when you walk in thinking, I'm still half cut here.
Yeah.
And I'm walking, and the previous manager got in the lift, and you just like, don't smell my breath, because so we got in there, right? So I'm with the lads, and I loved it. I loved being one of the lads. And then he got the sack. My mate took over, and then I'm a player assistant manager. And it's like the relationship then changes. You know what I mean?
Like, they're looking to you for guidance.
Yeah, and I'm like, so anyway, I step back. Fast forward 5 or 6 weeks, Neil Collins, who was the manager, who's a great lad, great manager, he gets suspended for a game. And I'm actually suspended from playing for bookings. So he said, you're going to have to take the team. We're playing away in Canada. And I'm like, yeah, not a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really, before I say yes to things, I don't really think about them, right? So I'm like, yeah, not a problem, Nearly, like, no worries, I'll do it, right? We prepared the team a week. We get on the plane to Canada. I'm still not even giving up much thought. I'm a little bit of thought about how I speak to the lads.
Yeah.
All the set pieces are done. I'm working it through. Then about a few hours before, I thought, I've got to stand up now. It's on me.
Yeah.
I'm like giving the team talk. Right?
You didn't even realise you had to do that part.
No, I did, but some part of me just puts it aside until I need to do it. So I'm standing up, right? And then I'm thinking... I'm talking to the lads, and I'm thinking, like, any given Sunday, like, lyrics are coming out. I'm like, come on.
Mate, this geezer, like that.
And I'm like that.
Robert De Niro.
I'm slamming the thing. Like, we got to start well, but all the things I say, everything, right? Bang, start. I'm out there, shake the other manager's hand, come back, you know what I mean? I'm sit down like, there's only about 4,000 or 5,000, but I'll give him a little...
Yeah.
And I've gone out there. Right?
You'll play the part.
Ref, I'm at the front of the technical area, and the buzz you got is good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's good. Now I'm standing there and I'm like, right, okay. Right, kick off, turn round to look back, walk back to the bench, turn round, they shoot, my goalie drops on me with 1-0 down. I swear to God, 1-0 down after about 20, 30 seconds. I looked up at Neil's in the director's box.
Start.
And he's a lovely fella, I love him, he's my mate, but he's an angry man, he knows this, right? Yeah. And I look at him, I look up in the stadium, I don't know what you've got that. I'm like, sorry, Keith, what can I do? Like the goalie for
There's nothing you can do. I can't legislate for that.
We got beat 1-0, but it was a great experience.
Is it?
And and something I'm sure I'll go into management. It's a buzz, Bridgie. It is. It's
I've got
like
a buzz from coaching the kids.
Yeah, exactly. You do it because you're helping them.
It does. Yeah. It's actually a different. Look, I think it's a great thing to do when you're transitioning away from playing.
Yeah.
Like, it just gives you that, it empowers you to stay in the game, obviously, for one, but you're the older statesman, and people look towards you anyway. When you was playing the back end of your career, the kids that are coming through, they'll come and ask you questions. So it's kind of the natural transition to do it, but it just depends if you want to take it further.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good out, taking a couple of games with the youth team or wherever you're at, and just seeing if you fancy it or not. And
I could imagine it's good, mate, but I couldn't imagine being manager and having to deal with 25 men, 22 men, whatever
egos
you've got, mate. Yeah, that would do my nutting. Yeah. Especially someone you really don't like, and someone who don't give you. Someone who's got a proper attitude. That'd do my nutting, mate. It wouldn't last 5 minutes.
So there's so many stories.
You've got to be patient.
But
be patient.
Deal with all that. I couldn't do that.
You don't realise we've been playing it since we was a kid, and you have a 20-year career, 15-year career.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's so much wisdom in there. Like actually, I feel there's a responsibility to pass on. It's something I will do eventually.
Yeah, I think you will do. You got that in you. And I look at, listen, go back to Moisey, like, it's an unforgiving game. He's done so much for the game.
Yeah.
But people still batter him, saying about his style of football. Sam Allardyce used to be coated with that.
Yeah.
But do you know what? To be in the game, Alan Pardew, these type of managers, right? To be in the game for that long, you have to evolve as a manager, as a coach, as a person. Yeah. And everyone stigmatises you to be in a certain way or play a certain style, but actually...
You're probably learning all the work.
But they're actually changing how they manage, not just the brand of football, but changing how they treat people. And that's what a manager is. It's not just a coach no more. It is actually just a coach now. But back in the day, the old school, they used to manage you like as a person. And I think people don't understand the value in how to treat another person, because you're dealing with people every day. It's people you're dealing with, isn't you? So you've got to be able to know how to get the best out of somebody. And it's so underrated, that skill, and I think a lot of people forget that we're not robots.
Human beings.
And then you've got coaches as well. Nowadays, they probably don't coach the way they have to. They're more people managed, because most of these boys are really good at football now. So it's hard, and they've got so much stuff at their hands now. They can go and see if you're talking crap. Because they could just question you. Why did you drop me? Well, I've got my stats here. They could come and question you. Back in the day, you go to anybody, any of your managers, and they drop you. They say, all right, fair enough, but I can't prove that what you're saying is not true. But now, if they drop you, you can go to the drawing board and say, well, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. So you could go question him. So now I think it's even more a time now when you've got to just be a people's person. To be a manager. You don't have to be a manager as in run the whole club. Just do your part and try and get the best out of your players.
You two are people.
People.
You know what I mean? You'd be good man management, and you obviously love coaching. Why don't you put yourself in for the West Ham job? I missed the trick with you two, haven't they?
I love that. We've had this conversation before.
We've had the conversation. I love the idea of helping young players and young men perform and to achieve something, their goals together. Like, because there's nothing better than that. And listen, we're going to go on to West Ham, but I'll ask Bridgie, because obviously you're working at West Ham. Graham Potter coming in. He's a modern man.
His boots.
Wow.
He used to clean his boots?
About 6 months, Yeah? At Saints, he was a winger at Saints.
No way.
He did better as a manager he did as a I don't think many people would have known that. A lot of people I know didn't really hear of Graham Potter as much of a player, but I cleaned his boots.
Really?
Okay. That would have been his claim to fame for about 15 years until he started managing.
He's doing all right now, isn't he?
Oh, no, he's done brilliant.
Go on, what are you saying?
See, did he give you any tips?
No, you want to know about the Christmas bonus.
Christmas bonus. You're going to give you 50 quid?
Back then, wasn't bad. But everyone always wanted Matt Le Tiss or one of the established players, didn't they?
Imagine having Matt Le Tiss's boots. I'd have cherished
them. That'd be ledge.
Great, you got Graham Potter.
I didn't get the best of players. No offence, but everyone wanted Matt Le Tiss, didn't they? Or Rod Wallace or something like that.
So you used to do his boots. Whose boots did you clean?
I cleaned Shaka Hislop's, mate, these feet. Big Shaka. They were size 17 or something. I needed a tub of dubbing just to get one boot.
The kids stopped doing that after
I know.
Years, didn't they, after we finished, I think. Jobs.
I was the last one.
Was you the last one? Was you? Yeah.
Do you remember the lads? Do you remember breaking in boots? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I never actually.
I remember first team used to come in. Some of the first team would go break one of them in for they'd be like, who's a size 7, and just throw them in. You'd have to wear because boots are different now. You were guaranteed blisters on new boots back in the day. Nowadays, I put a pair of new boots on. I'm like, I'm good to go.
Yeah, slip it.
So we had to break them in for the first team.
Yeah, I used to do Dennis Wise's boots.
Yeah, he would have looked after you though.
I've done Ruud Gullit.
Yeah,
I've done Ruud Gullit and Dennis Wise's boots.
You had a great pair there.
Yeah. I'll tell you the story, man. I'll tell you the story. Yeah, Graham Potter, yeah. So I was quite privileged to be if you get the captain's boots, you're kind of highly thought of in the establishment, yeah. So I had Dennis Wise. So Christmas time comes, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm buzzing. Get the bonus because
you think you're going to get a good one off him, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm thinking
good one.
I've got the skipper. I've got the skipper. And then obviously the second years they got their bonuses. the year before, obviously, and then they were saying how much they got. So I was buzzing to say, I might get like £150 or 200 quid. Mate, I've given him his boots that day, and I've gone, waiting for my bonus. I'm just hanging around the dressing room, like, he's just taking it off me, and he's gone out. I was like, oh. Then everyone's gone, oh, how much did you get? I was like, I didn't get nothing. I didn't get nothing. And anyway, just hanging about the whole day. He's ignored me. He's ignored me.
Hello, Wisey.
He's ignored me the whole day. Anyway, what it was said, and I asked, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Aaron Lincoln, actually. Yeah. He said, he ain't going to give you no money. I've gone, why? What have I done? He said that you've nicked his boots. And I've gone, what? And I've said, how am I going to nick, size 5 high-techs?
High-techs. I have a pair of high-techs.
Where am I going to nick size 5 high-techs? And where am I selling them? I can't wear them. What am I doing with them? That's not going for any money in the hood. Yeah? It's not going no one wants Dennis Wise's size 5 blue high-techs. Anyway, man, so didn't get no money that year.
Really?
You
didn't get nothing?
I got nothing.
Why is he?
Luckily, I was coming into the point, so I was about to turn 17 anyway. No. The next year I was going to be 17, so I was going to be a pro anyway, so I was going to get big money anyway. But it was just... I just felt a bit bad and hard done by, man.
Yeah.
I didn't get nothing.
We all know Aaron, don't we? Big stuff. I thought he would have just been winding you up or something.
No, I got no money. I got nothing, mate. Absolutely.
And did you not speak to him about it?
And he accused me of stealing his boots.
You not have a word with him, though.
Nah.
I've got his number. We're
calling him later. He owes you a one-er.
I've said the story before. I've said it.
We'll speak to Wise.
Have you spoke to him about it since? Never.
No, I never spoke.
I'll send you his number. You can drop.
We get him on the. We get him on the. We
need to get him on the pod.
Yeah.
And where is he? Where's Dennis Watson?
He was over in Como. He set up that, and then I think he's left there. Yeah. He's just doing his thing, and he's like...
We'll get him on the pod. This is a legend for Chelsea.
And I'm sure he'll be happy to hand you over a little bullseye or something for that.
Yeah, I do want my money back. I do want some money, like £20 would do. Just to say you appreciate my efforts.
What do you say about Graham Potter, though? You happy with him or not?
Yes. I think I want to see all English managers do well, Bridgie.
Yeah.
I liked Brighton. He was great. Chelsea, the biggest mistake he made, and I say it if I see him, was
leaving Brighton.
Was coming into a club which was such a mess at the time, but only because of what was going on. Everything was changing. But then I remember the first thing he said when he took over the club. He said he'd never even been to a Champions League game. And I thought it was a strange thing for a manager coming into Chelsea to say. He shouldn't have said it, but so his advice around how he positions himself in the media, I think, would be better. On the pitch, you speak to the lads, they like the way he trained. Yeah. I like the way he tried to play, and he didn't get enough time at Chelsea. Yeah. So I wanted to do
22 games he got?
It wasn't enough time, you know what I mean? But I think what he needs to take from that Chelsea experience is learning to be a bit more cuter with how he positions himself in the media, because. You're going into the Lions' Den at Chelsea. Yeah. That's been Conte, Mourinho, Ancelotti.
That's a 0 to 100.
There were a couple of things I think he might have said. I can't remember what they were when he said it, and it trying to come across a bit funny. I think, no, that ain't the right time to be doing this.
Yeah, and he never really didn't understand the standards. Like, it's okay at Chelsea to, if you're losing 3-4 games, to stand up there in front of me and go, this isn't good enough from my players. And we're going to do this, and I'm going to change that, and I'm going to do that. He didn't. He was just the same message across, and I thought...
I think what he's got to do, and it depends who's got around him, just to go and be what he wants to be. So go and make sure that, because he's come in and he says he wants to play the youth.
Yeah.
That alone, remember I was thinking I was speaking about it last week, about how that buys you time anyway. Yeah, if you go in and say, I've got a plan, I've got a plan for the future of the club, and this is a project.
Yeah.
Do that, and then all they need to see, because I think from now to the end of the season, all the fans want to see is I think they've written their seats enough to get into the big heights in Europe and all that. So I think what they would probably want from him is the fact that we can see a style of play.
Yeah.
I think under Lopetegui, they weren't. You knew what he was about, but you just couldn't see it registering and transferring onto the pitch.
Yeah.
And he's such a great person. I wanted it to work out for him, but it didn't. So now the transition into Potter, I just want to see a style of play, something that we can look at. And I think we've seen that. The first game that they had up at Aston Villa, you can see what they're trying to do. The first 60 minutes of that game, I was thinking, do you know what? This is proper. Now we can see the style of play. Now we can see what he's actually going for and what that team is capable of. And I think with Potter as well, one thing he's going to be able to do is change his style of play as well. So if it's not working, he's not like one of these managers like a Chris Martin.
Yeah. He's the Coldplay singer, Keith.
Russell Martin. Chris Martin. Oh no, that is.
When he married to Gwyneth Paltrow,
I was listening. I was listening to him on the way in. That's probably why.
Mate, we've changed.
Russell Martin.
We changed you since the same,
No, you haven't. I've always been on that.
Oh, have you?
Mate, did you see my playlist when we was in the room?
What room?
When we was. My playlist is Elite Kasabian.
No, I didn't see it. Where was I?
You was in there.
Was I?
Yeah, you just forgot.
He was in there. Whether you was in there, bodily you.
That was my playlist.
I thought
and everyone, well, you had a little bit to play later on. But anyway, like with Russell Martin, he was just adamant, I'm playing this style of football at Southampton.
Yeah.
And that's it. My way or the highway. I'm not changing my values. I'm not. But I think with Graham Potter, he will change to what he sees in front of him.
He'll adapt.
He'll adapt with the tactics and everything that goes on a football pitch during the game. He'll change it about. Whereas other managers, I don't think got that skill to do that because they're just my way or the highway.
I don't think there's a lot you could have done with that Southampton team, to be fair.
but saying that as well, I think he's going to have a good time. I just think he needs time.
Yeah.
He just needs time. And he's got this next 6 months to prove that we see a vision going forward. Then he'll have what he needs to do in the summer to build upon.
Yeah.
You know, like he might get a few players in. His players that he wants. So from now to the end of the season, go for it.
See you going, I mean, listen, wish him all the best. Transfer market, we're going to go into it's silly season in January. You see some mad transfers, but one of the things that caught my eye, I'll ask you, Bridgie, as a fullback, Kyle Walker leaving Manchester and an ex-Manchester City player. What do you make of that?
You don't know, really, do you? You don't know if he's had, obviously, a lot of publicity around his personal life. So you don't know if that's playing a factor in it. Because to want to leave City, it's a big shout, isn't it? Considering he's been such an important player for him.
He wanted to leave 2 years ago, though, bro.
You know, but look how much his personal life's come into play over the last few years. Do you know what I mean? It ain't just now, it's over the last few years.
He was running away from back then. He saw it coming. He saw it coming.
I don't like to talk about it, but you just...
He was like, mate, I want to jump ship now because I know what's coming.
And it might be, mate. It might be. You're ruthless Scousers.
Because I know I would be saying...
be diplomatic about it, and then Carl just goes, fuck.
Because Pep, I don't want to laugh at another man's misfortune, but I know Pep had to kind of convince him to stay 2 years ago. And now it's got to that point when things have hit the fan.
Big time.
Big time. And maybe his only thing in his head now is just... He wants his family safe. He wants everybody...
Will it be quieter out there for him? I don't know. But you know what press are like? I think it's been hard for a minute. It's got to have been hard.
No, it must be hard.
I think he needs the...
I think he needs peace. I think the fact that he's actually still played well.
And been brilliant, by the way.
Like, do you know what I mean? With everything that's been going on.
When I've been having turmoil off the pitch, I've actually homed in on the pitch.
Do you know what that is? You're...
It's like...
No, you're at home in chaos.
Yeah.
You're at home in chaos.
No, but it's not. I think it's not. I don't think it's that. I just think everything's going.
Football's your refuge.
It's my refuge. Like when we go to training, there's nothing else we think about. Getting better, making sure we're ready. We're ready for the game. That's all that matters. But when you come off the pitch, when you cross that right line, you come off the pitch. It's like, oh, here we go
Yeah,
again.
I know.
That's your
I know.
referee.
Just focus.
I'm the
Just
same.
focus on that. The whistle goes. Just focus on playing football.
So that's why he's done so well, and he's just focusing on that. And he's like, I'm going to make this so good. I'm going to play to the best of my ability, and I'm going to leave everything because I've got so much frustration pent up in me. I'm going to make sure I do this at least correctly and play to the best of my ability. And I think that's what he's done, and he's done it his whole career, because maybe footballers, some of us have a turmoiled life off the pitch.
Turbulence.
Chaos.
Got to keep the seatbelts on
That's
while
why
we're flying.
all of that culminates to what you see on the pitch, which is sometimes beautiful.
The fact
you know what I mean?
Pep really likes him as well, doesn't he? As well, loves him.
He supported him.
And I think he's brilliant. I think he's top draw. I met him. I didn't play with Carl. Played against him a few times, but I met him on holiday with his family. Lovely family, and
he's a lovely guy.
And I think he's done so much in the game. If he, I think Pep will go. If you want to leave and you want to go, you'll go with a blessing. And I think it'll be a massive hole for Man City, because he looks. I know he's a leader in the dressing room, but you just wish him all the best. And I think he's when he retires from football.
Oh, he's going to
look back and think, what a career!
What a career, man!
Yeah.
And that time when he left Spurs, obviously Spurs would have looked at it, and the fans would have looked at it and thought, why is he leaving us? Like, he's gone for the money, this, that, and the other. Which, but look what he's won now. Like, you look back, it's like the same with Ashley Cole.
Yeah,
like he left Arsenal.
Yeah.
And if everyone said, why are you leaving Arsenal for blah, blah, but look what he went and done. Do you know what I mean? So when you look back on your career, when you've made these big calls and these big decisions, you've got to take your hat off. Yeah, you do. Know what I mean? You've got to applaud him. He's done brilliant, the boy.
You do. We're going to go a little bit off-piste. Yeah, my outside of England, my team, Barcelona, dominant against Real Madrid. I mean, what did you make of it, Bridgie?
I haven't actually seen it.
Right, okay, good honesty. I like that.
But I've heard it was a good game.
Yeah.
I see you watching some highlights. I can hear there's lots of noises.
It was superb.
I don't think anyone would have seen it coming like that, would they? No. Not 5-2 spanking.
No,
it was played in a different country.
Yeah.
You know, so it was played in Saudi.
Yeah.
And that's the excuse I'm giving Real Madrid, because it was not in Spain.
They weren't on them Indonesian flight skis. They were travelling first class. You know what I mean, like with the propellers.
They had beds on that plane.
And they're used to hot weather as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So there shouldn't be any excuses. But what an event to watch in your backyard if you're in Saudi.
Yeah.
Like,
brilliant.
Real Madrid and Barcelona rocking up and playing a significant cup game, which means something to them as well. So it was actually a good... spectacle.
Spectacle, yeah.
And the thing about it as well,
I
watched the game, I watched it, and I was like...
They're just that good, yeah.
It was entertaining.
Or did Real not turn up?
I think...
Bit of both, wasn't it?
Both, yeah.
Both. It's great to have Barcelona at the back at the top table now, and with the best young
in
player in the world.
Atletico.
Atletico are there as well. You know, we got our own Conor Gallagher out there.
Yeah.
You know, I just think, and obviously Jude Bellingham, you know, playing for Real Madrid, he's scored 9 in the last 10.
He's on flames.
You know,
how's he so good?
A robot, mate. He's a robot.
Is it mindset? Because he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Really good player. But I just think he's just got that winning beast inside him. It's like a mentality.
I've heard Jamie talk about him. I've talked to Jamie about him. Jamie Lawrence talked about it the other day, and he was. We would call it critical, whatever it was. It was basically talking about the formation England should have played, and Jude wasn't performing that well, and Foden and what he does on the ball and everything. And he's obviously a great player.
Yeah.
Very different to Phil Foden in terms of ability, I'd say.
Yeah.
When I look at Jude, I just think he's got winner written all over him.
Yeah.
It's the mentality, the work rate. I think, we've had, when you're in training and you're picking teams and you think, I want him in my team, he's a winner. As much as he's a good player, he's a winner. You know what I mean? Like Arjen Robben, for instance, I call him a winner. Do you know what I mean? As good as he was, he was still a winner. He was going to stick in. You count on him. If it get in the trench, you count. I think he's someone you could probably count on if it gets...
Yeah, when it gets sticky.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
He's proved it time and time again for England. doing scissor kicks. He's pulling out a Joe Cole in the big stage at the Euros, and he's so young doing. I'm thinking this guy he's gifted, man.
Yeah.
Gifted kid, and he's got a younger brother as well coming through the ranks as well.
That must be hard though, isn't it? If if your brother's Jude Bellingham and your name's Job, so your name's nearly Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? It's
mad, isn't it?
Like that's a family dynamic. You know what I mean? And look, I hope he goes and has a. I've not seen enough of him.
Look, going back to the game,
they look like a good family as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are a brilliant family.
Yeah.
And going back to the game anyway, like I didn't see that drumming. I didn't see it. But it's just nice to see Barcelona back doing what they do best. And forget the transfer speculations. Forget they can't sign Almo. Is it Elmo?
Olmo, yeah. If they got him, they can't play him.
They can't play him.
Paid the subs.
You know what I mean? Like, so they're going through a bit.
Imagine that conversation.
They're going through a bit financially.
You go to the manager. I'm not playing. You say, "Why, Gaffer? Well, we ain't paid the fee." I'm like,
what do you mean?
What do you want me to do? Cut the lawn or something?
Put out the codes. That's what you got to do. Put out the codes.
Trying to find something.
Go and wash the bibs.
Yeah, oh, mate. I mean, however a mess it looks over there, they're doing it, and it's a great result for them.
Let's talk about Rafinha, by the way.
Ooh.
He's gone from Yorkshire, yeah? Well, he's a Brazilian in Yorkshire, yeah? Then he goes to...
Relegated with
Leeds. Now he's dominating with Barcelona. What a player. And if you see his goals, you'll see
Bridgie.
That is disability.
He's a player, isn't he? The fact that Leeds had him anyway, I'm a little bit like...
Yeah.
They've done well to get him.
Yeah,
and by the way, they didn't use him right as well. Like the way that that was mad pressing. You need to get him the ball.
Yeah, you need to get him the ball, let him work his magic. And that's when he done that a few times when he was playing at Leeds, you saw how good he was. He scored some brilliant goals.
Oh, he's always looked good.
Yeah.
It's mad how Leeds had him.
Yeah.
And someone else hadn't picked him up.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Really? I look at it like
Leeds to Barcelona. Has that ever been done?
Mate, there's been some mad ones over the years, but that's up there. Was you there?
Gravison at Everton. He's gone Everton to Real Madrid.
Oh,
mate.
yeah, I remember that one as well.
Mate. Yeah.
Who's the one at West Ham as well?
You must have been
Carlos Tevez.
No, Julian Faubert.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, where'd he go?
Oh, my
Real Madrid.
Yeah, Real Madrid as well.
Mate, that was funny, man. Like, I spoke to Julian the other day, actually. Julian, like, he's a coach now.
Is he?
Yeah, he's giving back. And, like, I just remember that. We rocked up in on a Saturday, yeah? No, it was on a Thursday, sorry. Rocked up in training. And everyone, I knew, obviously, it was the January window. And I was thinking, we're missing someone. Who's left? Like, and then everyone goes, what, you ain't heard? I've gone, what? It's gone, Julian Forbert's gone Real Madrid. I've gone, give over. What are you talking about? Like, you kept that quiet if that was the case, so it can't be true anyway, because you aren't going to keep something like that quiet, are you? Mate, I get a few texts on my phone. I'm in the dressing room, by the way. We're not... Yeah. Carlton, have you seen the news? I'm like, no. What? Julian Forbert? Real Madrid? I'm like, wow. Anyway, we go out to train. Everyone, that's the talk of the town. That's the talk of Chadwell Heath, yeah? That's the training ground, by the way. Yeah. Everyone is talking about Real Madrid, Julian Forbert. How has that happened? I'm thinking, mate, if that was the case, because I still couldn't believe it. I was still waiting for him to turn up in the car park saying he's late.
Yeah, like this is banter.
This is banter.
Yeah. But yeah, what a move. But like, I think that, do you know, like we'll have to get the fact checkers on this, but I think the Ballon d'Or started doing a ceremony and it was like Agent of the Year, the Ballon d'Or for agents around that time. Because someone must have gone for like, listen, whoever's done this deal.
Well, whoever done that deal, mate.
He's a magician.
And the thing about it as well.
And he ain't a bad player, is he? But
he wasn't a bad player.
It was just there to there.
What happened?
He's incredible.
Did you hear what happened when he was there, though?
No.
Oh my God! So remember they play later than us.
Yeah.
So they play. Sometimes their game starts at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Or 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. I think this particular game was at 10. He got pictured, sleeping on the bench for Real Madrid.
Oh my God!
He's taking a nap.
That's unbelievable.
He'll probably say, Carlton, you're putting out false information. But that was the rumour going on. And I saw, he was on the bench with his snuddy up, and he was like that, and he didn't look like he was sleeping. How'd you get that move and start sleeping on the Real Madrid bench? That is brilliant. But anyway,
that is brilliant.
I love you, Julian. It's just a bit of banter.
Yeah, we love you. We love you. Rashford, another one. Like, what do you make of him, Bridgie? Because
we talked about him before, didn't we? Just he's got so much talent, and we were saying before about it needs someone, a good coach, a good manager that can help him. But sometimes you've got to help yourself. I don't know. I don't know if he needs some wisdom to get him through, because he should be doing well at Man United. Yeah. Really,
he should be, shouldn't he?
He's got so much talent, mate. He's quick, skillful, got a great shot.
I think the romance has left the building with him over at Man United. I don't think that's revivable.
He's obviously got a future in football, but it's where does he go? Where's he going to go?
Yeah. There ain't many options for him because he's on such big wages, isn't he?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's hard.
Mate, I'm hearing rumours. Potter's in for him, mate.
Really?
Oh, it'd be great for West Ham.
I don't know, but that's what
I
read it.
It'd be great for West Ham if he looking from the outside, sorts his head out and he gets it right.
It was in the papers. I'm not saying that is what's going on, but we've got to go with what we've read.
I think it's a good sign.
If I'm West Ham manager and I talk to David Sullivan and they go, well, there's a possibility it's happening, I would say, get me him. Yeah. And I'll soon as I'll round the shoulder, say, listen, I'll just have a chat with him, just like, what, Marcus,
I'd like to have a chat with him.
What do you need? Yeah. Tell me. Like, I want you here. Whatever you need.
Man management again.
It's man management. I'll get his,
what's going on off the
his
field,
family.
Mate?
I know his brothers round him. Bring them all in. Like, come on, let us work together, man. We all want the same thing.
It happened with Jesse Lingard.
Yeah,
Jesse Lingard came to us, turned it around, and he started to play. He was loved. He was lauded at West Ham. They loved him, and he made the wrong decision later on, like not returning. He wanted to stay at Man United and prove himself again. But he should have really just come back and just say, listen, draw a line under that. This is the way forward. And he didn't really want to accept that. So that's why he's in Seoul now. Seoul FC.
I know. I was over there the other day.
So, but then I look at a Rashford. Does he want to leave the Premier League? Why do you want to leave Premier League?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's Inter Milan that's after him or AC Milan, one of the two. I get going into the Sun.
Yeah.
I get maybe going to Spain or something like that. But you're at home. Premier League is your home. You go and fill your boots. Go and make some new memories. You know what I mean? It doesn't
make them regret selling you.
Yeah, and in their face as well. By the way, so imagine he has a great second half of the season. Yeah, he gets in the England team.
Mate, if he goes on loan to West Ham and he does 15 games and he does what Jesse Lingard does, let me tell you, they'll all be queuing up to take him. They'll all be queuing up to take him.
So you just stay in the Premier League and just try and play. And if you do believe in yourself that much, you'll go and do it. And I'm sure that, monetarily, I think there will be a way of getting it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether Man United pay half his wages and then just trying to get him off the books.
West Ham need a striker as well.
We're
just
full crew. We need a striker. Arsenal need a striker. Everyone needs a striker.
They wouldn't let him go Arsenal, would they? No chance.
Well,
if the money's right, I think they would. Because I don't think Manchester United see them this season for a loan deal competing with Arsenal. I don't know. Maybe Manchester United fans might tell me different, but I think there's.
But if he goes there and does that well, it looks even worse, doesn't it?
Yeah. But what's his best position? Rashford.
Left forward. He's a left forward. Like he don't ever look comfortable for me centrally. He's not like one who's, I think, really.
Could he do like what Henry used to play up and then he drift out?
Drift out. That could be a way. He's not an old-fashioned centre forward back to goal, is he? Like you're not expecting that from him. Erling Haaland actually isn't like that as well. He plays off the shoulder. When I look at Rashford, he can start from centrally and then drift out to the left and then do his, because he's done that quite a lot.
Yeah. I'd play him centrally.
Like, he's just got to be motivated.
I'd play him centrally.
Oh yeah.
I think you will. If you get
Owen and Paqueta in the 10.
Oh, it'd be lovely.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely.
Yeah. It's the manager motivate, like you said. You have a word with him. You motivate him, and he's got to have people around him.
That's motivating.
I think the secret with Marcus is everyone around him. What he comes with, getting them all on side and going, listen, let's try and make this thing happen.
I'd love to see him.
I'd love to see him
back on track, man. I think he's a good kid as well. He just needs a little bit of support.
Right, Garnacho to Napoli. That's another one. They're raiding the Premier League, aren't they, Napoli? They want. They've got the two. They've got Billy Gilchrist.
Raiding the Premier League.
The Italian job.
Garnacho, listen, Garnacho, he's a player, but why he's young. Why would Man United want to get rid of him? Like he's scoring bicycle kicks from
doesn't make sense, does it? Don't make sense.
You've got to keep him in around it and hope that he grows into the player that we all think he can be.
Yeah.
Why would you want to get rid of him?
Yeah, it's a strange
unless Amarin don't see him in his style of play, which I doubt. I think he's a useful player.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that rumour. I think that's an agent.
Does he like it in Manchester? Manchester, Italy?
Listen, I know what I'd prefer to be. Sorry to like. Manchester's a lovely city.
I love Manchester.
I love Manchester, but you know,
as a foreigner,
I prefer Milan or Rome.
I'd rather be over there than
Naples.
I love
weather.
Manchester, mate.
You don't leave Manchester United, mate, for any team. For me, like. You had a chance to play at Manchester United when you were younger, innit?
Yeah.
We're from here, though.
Yeah.
You'd always want to go Manchester. Yeah, I know, but still, Manchester United is one of the biggest teams in the world.
It still holds weight, doesn't it? It still holds weight around the world.
And that's why I'm a bit sorry for what they're going through, because that's my childhood. Like,
don't be sorry for them.
Oh, see, I'm not sorry for United. They used to win everything, so I'm buzzing that they ain't winning nothing.
I don't look at it like that. I look at a bit of nostalgia going back to what it used to be in the 90s and 90s.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, although, everyone knew.
I hated them winning everything.
You would hate them, but I don't mind. You got to hate someone, didn't you? So they're decent to hate. You want them to be your.
I play for City, mate, so I'm blue.
It's blue.
You're blue, isn't you?
Yeah.
God, how you went over there. You had a stint over there. You went for a quick money grab, didn't you? As soon as the money came in, he was like, he put his hands up.
My choice in the end, right? Solari kind of said, go, mate.
That's brilliant.
Right. Big news in Saudi. We're going to go for Casemiro. Rumours. I mean, it
makes sense.
It makes sense. And they're bringing big players over there. Casemiro's a big player. It doesn't look like he's part of Amarin's plans.
He hasn't done himself any justice.
No.
That's enough money come. You chucked money at me a minute ago. Money comes into that deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
there
was an interview I see ages ago about Jordan when he went.
Yeah.
And it's like part of me's like, mate, I know, just say you've come for some money.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Money plays a massive factor.
Of course it does.
It does play a massive factor in it.
But listen, they're trying to...
Look at Ivan Toney.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying
Just say it. Just say
it.
We have to be honest. We have to be honest.
I'm going for the football, but I'm also going for money.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They're trying to build... It's the Saudi League, right? They're trying to build something sustainable, yeah? So they've got to get the right players in for one.
Yeah.
And... they're not just going to chuck money at anybody.
No.
They're going to chuck money at
the right characters.
Help grow the league, get to the next level. And it seems exciting.
Yeah.
There's some proper world-class players out there. Benzema's out there. That's one of my boys.
Yeah.
I love him. I love watching him play. And it's good to see that you got Neymar, Cristiano.
Big players.
Why wouldn't you want to go?
Yeah.
Like, to be rubbing shoulders with playing against the likes of those world-class players. So when I look at it, Casemiro fits that category.
Yeah.
Because he's a winner. He's been winning his whole life.
Yeah.
So he has to go into that. I think him being at Manchester United now, I think it's gone. I think he had his first season. First season he was unbelievable. He was. You couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
Second season we saw where he's at. Really, because his age is kicking on. Can't really dominate a game like how he used to. This season it's been a bit part player. So now I think it is the time for him to look at that and think, you know what? Let me go and revive myself again. Let me go and be lauded by the new challenge.
Yeah.
And yes, the money does come into factor, and but that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, of course.
Don't look
not.
after yourself.
There is.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No,
brilliant.
You need to be. You need to understand. You need to be honest, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, and Cristiano Ronaldo nearing 1,000 career goals. I'm like,
that's just 1,000 career goals. Like that guy is a machine, really. Mate. Like it's that when you're young, when you're young and you had dreams of being a footballer, and you look at what was in front of you at that time. I think Cristiano Ronaldo must have been young and thought, what was his dreams back then?
Yeah.
To be the best out football.
Yeah.
Maybe. But to go on and achieve it, and get 1,000 goals in professional football, like that is like not normal, is it?
Nah. Well, I don't think he's not a normal footballer. It's not normal in the nicest way. He's not a normal human being, because you talk to, like, in a nice way, like the way he dedicates himself. Like, I think Rio said he was speaking to him the other day, and he was like, he was just sat in an ice bath or something speaking to him. Do you know what I mean?
In an ice bath?
All the medals he's won, and he's still jumping in there. Horrible, wouldn't they?
Horrible.
That just goes to, we talk about the money for him.
Yeah.
It's still
he's driven.
football, and he's driven
It's
to
not
be.
about money for him.
You played
That's
against him
everything,
directly.
Yeah.
How was that?
brought this up with me yesterday.
How was that?
Well, no,
What did he say? What did he say? Did he batter you?
I might have lied a little bit. Had him in my pocket, didn't I?
That's what you said.
Kind of, no. Not really. Well, yeah.
You got listen. You can't.
No, do you know what it was? I try and
say
stay in, like, because I'm not. It was early stages at Man United, so it's at the early part of his career, isn't it? So he was dangerous. He was a dangerous player. Fullbacks, you know, that he's always getting at you. It's another one of the things, just saying mentally switched on. I wouldn't say there was a game.
He was a winger back then.
Unless someone finds one. That he schooled me the whole game and everything like that, or he gave me a real terrible time.
You're a good player.
You always had to stay switched on. He was quick, skillful, so you're constantly having to do it. And that, and people say, well, you always have to be constantly switched on anyway. I say, well, not
as much.
Not all football players are, because I think to myself sometimes in games I played in, there was one against Pompey which stood out for me. John Stones played. And do you know what? I hardly got a look in. I remember Harry Redknapp after games said, well, Wayne didn't get a look until John Stones come off. And I was
John Stones?
Yeah. The winger.
John Stones is
no, not John Stones.
Steve Stone.
No, who was the winger?
Steve Stone.
Yeah, Steve Stone. That's the one.
You done me.
That's the one.
I done Chris Martin earlier, right?
Yeah. That's his one's not as bad as
John
yours.
Stones.
Right,
You weren't playing.
you know what it was? You know what it was with him? He stuck with me all the time. When he went, and he was just focused the whole game. He went off. I ended up scoring, actually. You were there.
I remember.
I ran up to the crowd and cheered their faces. Pompey ate me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the same with Ronaldo. You just got to stay switched on the whole time. Don't get me wrong, he might have gone past me a couple of times, but he never gave me a torrid time.
See,
it
like,
was tough.
Another one of your teammates, Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
Cristiano named him as, what did he name him? As one of his hardest opponents.
Oh, Ash was unbelievable at one-on-ones, wasn't he? He was just so good at one-on-ones. Even with Messi, Ash.
He
always just so good at one-on-ones.
He was, yes.
And do you know, that reminds me of time when, sorry, Ash, I don't know. It was England v Brazil. And this is how good Ash was. Ronaldinho was running at him.
Yeah.
And he done a few step overs, little shot, and Ash kind of stumbled on the floor, didn't he? The worst thing about that was Kieran Dyer, because he obviously knows how good Ash was, he just stood up and just started clapping.
Oh my God.
But you know, worst thing was, they scored as he was clapping. Kieran just sat down like this. Oh no.
When you love football, sometimes that's your like.
Oh my God, he's just done that to Ashley.
Ashley's unbelievable.
That's what, and he was the best. So, he's probably the best ever forward. You know, Carlos, which he's up there with the best ever, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then I'm down there somewhere,
mate. But you played against the best.
That's what I mean. Ronaldo, he's unbelievable. Isn't he?
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, he's up there, isn't he? He's standing on the shoulder with all the giants: Pele, Maradona, Messi. Ronaldo, they're there. It's what you like.
He's arguing with Pele,
mate.
When Pele was alive, he was like, "No, I don't know how many of your goals should be registered." How many of your goals was actually registered? You could just make up a number. That's what his argument was, and it does make sense.
Yeah.
Right, he's actually done it in the limelight.
In the modern era.
In the modern era where it's being recorded.
Yeah. You know what?
Not just adding a few extra goals on here and there to make it
sometimes
nice.
Well, he's doing it in the Saudi league. I'm telling you, mate, that won't be easy.
Of course it won't.
That will not be easy one bit.
No.
People might think it is. It will not be.
There, Bridgie. There's some
I know.
proper players
it won't
there.
be easy.
And it's growing all the time. So it might be, listen, I don't know how many goals he's off it, but it's going to be if he does do it, you've got to take your hat off to him.
Oh, 100%.
You have to. Listen, he's a phenomenal player with...
player, athlete, everything.
Just his mindset alone. Like, we were talking about the mental side of things last week.
Yeah.
And great for him to talk to Rashford.
Yes.
It'd be great.
They was playing together. How can Marcus not
take some of that?
Not look at him.
Yeah.
Listen, I played when I come through. I'd Neil Ruddock to look at, and I love Razor.
Yeah,
he was a
Razor.
great man, but
he was.
I never had no one like Ronaldo. Imagine you had someone like Ronaldo coming in, who was like, you're just like living right, doing everything right. This is how you do it. Putting your arm.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I had that with Zola.
Yeah.
So when I kept going to the first team, Zola, like he said, listen, every day after training, do your extras, and then get in the gym.
Yeah.
And at Chelsea, we wasn't brought up in the gym. Actually, we done a bit of gym here and there. We had our days, but we used to.
So you didn't listen?
No. I did after he told me because I didn't have it as a thing to do.
Yeah.
Because no one ever told me that, like to do the extras in the gym
Recovery,
as well.
massage,
So he used to call me in the gym and he used to go, listen, we'll do this work here today. So I used to, I used to come in as well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is what it is to be a professional like him.
I think
and
it's great when you see an older professional do that.
He was eating clean.
Brilliant.
Like even his food, we go upstairs, I'll see what he's eating. He's just got a little pasta, a little parmesan on the side. I'm there getting all sorts, the
Stopping
potatoes.
for the KFC.
Yeah, I'm doing all sorts, yeah.
Another plate.
I'd have that meal, then I'll have a KFC or a McDonald's on the way home as well. Like, doing everything in my way. Do you know what I mean? My way is not great. But when I saw Zola, having that person to look towards and think, that's what I want to be like. I know I was never going to be like Zola, obviously, we're different players, but he did help me on my journey and just retract my mind.
Yeah.
And that's what someone like Rashford needs.
He needs it, man.
Like, he could
He's
be a
got
player,
to accept that as well, though, Rash. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to accept the
tell
help.
someone, and
Accept
sometimes
the
they won't.
They
won't listen. Bellamy was great at doing that with some of the kids at Man City. He was brilliant.
Who?
Bellamy.
Oh, Craig,
Craig. He was great at helping the kids and giving them information. But you could tell the ones.
You weren't good with me, man. He's batting me on the pitch.
I know. I've seen him batter people. He can ruin some people.
I was like, fellas.
I've also seen him help kids, but then you can see the kids that aren't listening, and you can tell the ones that are taking the information on board. So it's on Rashford as well to take the information.
Taking the information, accept the information, accept it. Because look, see, like when let's go back onto Bella's.
Actually, there's some mad.
Actually, actually, he's actually helped my career. Right. Although he was battering me, but I think he knows who to
wanted
batter.
the reaction.
There'll be a time I'll be on the pitch. And I've just had the baggiest touch ever, right? The ball's coming to me and it's gone boing. And he's gone, Coley, are you all right?
That's the worst thing.
That alone, it's like he's come for your mum, he's come for your whole family. When you say that to a footballer and you know you've just done something really rubbish, and then he's saying on top of that, Holy!
I could just picture him saying it, mate.
And the thing about it, if you don't face that, you need to face it and you say, do you know what? I accept it. Mate. I won't do it again. He goes, you better not. I'm telling the gaffer, you're getting off. I can't play with this. Anyway, so he battered me so much, right, that I had to be good. I was scared of hearing his comments. And that's what I got better. And then I was like, you know what? I'll take on the task. And then I got better. And then he come in. So I got the first time I got called up for England, right? I've walked into the dressing room. No, the physio room. And he was there getting his massage. He's reading the paper like that. And he's seen me walk in and he's gone, he's turned the paper around. It's my face. There's a Carlton called up for England, right? And he goes, are you sure? You're not good enough for them. You're not even good enough for us. And I've gone, I swear down. And I've got, because I didn't even know I'd be called up. That's how I got told.
That's how you got told?
He's like, are you sure?
That's brilliant.
And then he's like, are you sure? He says, do you know what? I've made you. He says, I've made you. If it weren't for me doing all your running, you would be nowhere near it. I've made you look good. Oh, mate, it's brilliant, man. Like, Bellas is a great guy, great character. And if you're not strong enough for some of these characters in the game to take it on the chin and prove them wrong or up your game, you could just get sucked in to being rubbish for the rest of that game, do you know what I mean? And it will affect your confidence going forward. But you've got to have a bit about yourself to answer questions like that.
You do.
Thanks for watching The Dressing Room. Been a pleasure, lads. We'll go again next week.
We go again.
From the White House to Gaza, Kiev to Beijing, elections, economics and the environment compete with conflicts and other complex issues for our attention. In an age of fake news, deep fake and artificial intelligence,
They've got to have a vote and a say.
it's important to look beyond the loudest voice to understand the truth. From newsmakers to groundbreakers,
My campaign is going very well.
presidents, prime ministers, princes and peacemakers, and cultural tastemakers.
As Arabs, as Middle Eastern, we're too emotional.
Join me on the Riz Khan Show for empowering conversation.
At Al Arabiya News, we go beyond the headlines.
From the latest breaking news to in-depth coverage of global events.
We're not bought or sold. Nobody owns us.
The loss of life, the destruction of property. The conflicts are such a terrible thing.
Context and analysis to help you see the full picture.
The world is in a very dangerous place.
Join us on Arabiya News,
It's very impressive.
where knowledge meets perspective.
From the White House to Gaza, Kiev to Beijing, elections, economics and the environment compete with conflicts and other complex issues for our attention. In an age of fake news, deep fake and artificial intelligence,
They've got to have a vote and a say.
it's important to look beyond the loudest voice to understand the truth. From newsmakers to groundbreakers,
My campaign is going very well.
presidents, prime ministers, princes and peacemakers,